Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Cabrillo Unified School District Governing Board meeting, August 8th, 2024. Please stand for the pledge. And Jamie, would you lead us? Rosie, can you do roll call, please? Oh, okay. 1, 2, 3. Uh-oh. Sophia.
Here.
Lizette.
Here.
Kim. Here. Carmen.
Here.
Mary Beth.
Here.
All present. Oh, and Jamie.
Here.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda? And I know we have a couple of items being removed or moved. So Rosie, can you remind us?
Microphone.
I'm sorry. Thanks, Sophia. So you requested item D, 3D, Extended Learning Service Fee-Based Pilot Program for 2024-2025 to be postponed to the September meeting.
Thank you.
And we are also asking to move item 3M, 2024-2025 Management and Represented Salary Schedules to general. And that's what I know. Do you want to?
Okay, and I believe there was one item being removed from the general, the
Oh, yes.
H, Phase 1 Studio W contract amendment. We're
Yes,
removing
also
that.
for H to be postponed.
Thank you. With those amendments, do I have a motion to approve?
I have a motion to approve with those amendments, plus I would like to understand more about the two SPED contracts, so can we move those to the general business as well? I don't remember the numbers.
One is 3F, EPG, Speech and Language Therapist, MOU for 2024-2025, and item 3E, ETIRI, MOU Contract Services for 2024-25.
Thank you. Those will
So
move
that's
to the end.
General, okay.
Yeah. So we have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes 5-0.
Thank you. This brings us to public comments. Our public comment agenda items, hearings, and other agenda items are an opportunity for members of the public to provide comments to the board during our meetings. We allow 3 minutes per person and up to 20 minutes in total for all speakers. I'd like to ask members of the public who share the same viewpoint, please select an individual to address the board on behalf of that viewpoint so we can conduct our business in an effective and efficient manner in the public's best interests. Typically, the board cannot respond to comments other than referring matters to staff for follow-up. Please also feel free to follow up with Superintendent Lealva directly sometime after the meeting if you would like to share or receive further information. Also, to further streamline meetings, we will only accept requests to address the board prior to the agenda topic, with the option for speakers to pass on their request after the presentation if their comment has thus been sufficiently addressed. I also appreciate our board, our superintendent, and all presenters to do our part in streamlining the meetings to be clear and concise. As a reminder, we have opportunities for Q&A on the topics as they're presented. And at the, I want to remind everyone we have at the end of the meeting, our, we still have that, governance matters after the general business. So with that, we will start with our public comments. I invite Dan Haggerty to address us first.
There we go. How about now? Okay, much better. Good evening, Madam President and board members. My name is Dan Haggerty, and I'm a member of the Mid-Coast Community Council. I've been a member for 12 years. The Mid-Coast Community Council serves El Granada, parts of Miramar, Moss Beach, and Montera, and Princeton. I recently became aware of an accessing lighting and reflective roof situation at the near-completed Fairlawn View Elementary School in Montera. Many are not aware that the intense light reflects from the ground and lights up the sky. There is a photo on Nextdoor of the new bright white lights and how the reflected and scattered light mixes with the fog to create an intense sky glow and glare above the school. This sky glow would be visible to the neighbors from Scenic Highway 1. The area is also adjacent to the Montera Mountain, which is rich with a wide variety of wildlife. It's unfortunate that the less intense amber wildlife-friendly light fixtures with full dimming were not chosen from the start. They are available, and I recommend incorporating amber lights with full dimming for all exterior lights, including the canopy lights, as a corrective measure to this issue. Efforts were made to be ahead of this, but communication was difficult due to the state not required to bring this item to the MCC for comments. I do not have a recommendation for the reflective roof issue yet, but I hope to have one soon. I expect a full discussion and agreement on this lighting recommendation at our August 28th Mid-Coast Community Council meeting. There have been many strong concerns raised already by members of the community. So thank you for your attention to this matter. Sincerely, Dan Haggerty, Mid-Coast Community Council member. And I'll leave a copy of this letter with Amber, and I will follow up with an email as well.
Thank you very much. Next up, Daniel Whitmore.
Good evening. I just want to speak about the email that we received yesterday about the salary increase and how it's tied to a parcel tax increase. So I believe that tying the salary increase for the teachers to the parcel tax increase is a bait and switch for the teachers. You're asking them to take a lower raise now, and hopefully in 4 months, the parcel tax will pass. Taxpayers already don't trust you very much with the money we're already paying, and now you're asking us to pay more. You need to manage the budget better, and we are counting on the new superintendent and her team to lead us out of the mess that we're in today. When there is a strike, unfortunately, don't blame the teachers, don't blame the taxpayers if we don't pass the parcel tax. You need to look at yourselves. This mess has been a long time coming, unfortunately, but we need to take care of these teachers and help them live on the coast, and so we don't lose more of our good teachers to other districts. Thank you.
Thank you. Katrina Brown.
Hi, I'm a parent of kids at all 3 schools at the high school, Cunha and Hatch, and I'm coming here to talk about Hatch in particular. As you know, there were a number of resignations, and Hatch was hit particularly hard. We know that the salary issue is an issue facing all teachers across all the schools in the district, but I think the district needs to take a hard look at what's going on at Hatch and why the teachers felt particularly unsupported, or what resources were needed for Hatch in particular. So I ask that The district puts extra effort at Hatch at the start of the school year. We're going to have a number of long-term subs, and that we address it and help make Hatch a successful year, because it's going to be a difficult transition. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that, Rosie, is that all of the in-person? I now have the public comments that were submitted online. First, from Kenneth Hibbets, Montero resident. Thank you for your time and consideration. We've been direct neighbors of the Fairlawn View Elementary School since 1981. We've enjoyed strong working relationship with the school for all of those many years. In the past, we complained to the school in person that the lights projecting out into the parking lot were extremely bright. Also, the lights broadcast up to our windows, casting shadows in our living area, and they were intrusive. These lights were mounted on the eaves of the building. After expressing our concern, the staff at the school was very responsive to our complaints, and the team adjusted the angle of the fixtures. This was very helpful. This minor adjustment of the lighting fixtures allowed the parking lot and surrounding to be illuminated without pointing directly into our home. This was much appreciated. We're concerned about the lights being installed at the new parking lot. These simple adjustments to the lights as conducted before do not appear to be available given the new installation. We're also concerned that the new lights will be very bright and again cast shadows into our home and property. We're concerned that the new lights' overall brightness will directly impact our home as previously expressed. We anticipate these impacts will be experienced in an even more direct and inflexible fashion. This is especially true given the height of the towers and the newer and brighter lighting technology being deployed. While we appreciate the need for lights, we are asking for the board's assistance with mitigation of potential issues created by the newly installed lighting for overall brightness, intensity, and duration of use. The concerns regarding lighting in the coastal zone have been raised before at other locations in the local area. This is not a new public concern. Specifically, we are asking for lower intensity bulb options that are more in scale with Montero while addressing the need for lighting. Also, are these options for the lighting to be programmed for the duration of use and or overall intensity to address these concerns? There's more to the comment, and that will be published. Next, from Sid Young, and the subject is the extremely bright exterior lighting at Fairlawn View. It has come to my attention via a post on Nextdoor this week that new construction or new permanent exterior light fixtures has suddenly caused Montero neighbors near the school to observe extremely bright lighting at night. I hope this is only a temporary situation, but if not, it is my hope that it will be remedied so as to not disturb humans or night creatures by the excessively bright lights. Turn them off at night, please. This is a waste of power and completely unnatural. Respectfully, Sid Young, Moss Beach. And then from Christy Gillis on behalf of Fairlawn View PTO Board. Good evening, Superintendent Lealva, members of the board, and community members. The Fairlawn View PTO Board would like to share our support for Cabrillo Unified teachers. As parents, we hope to begin this school year with a resolution for the ongoing concerns and teacher compensation. The start of a new school year is typically filled with optimism for our children, new friends, and a chance to learn new subjects from the Cabrillo's outstanding teachers. This year is instead beginning with uncertainty about how ongoing negotiations will impact teachers and in turn students and our broader community. We ask that the teachers' concerns be addressed soon so that they too can approach this school year with a renewed sense of optimism, and we can all move forward in partnership with them to achieve the best possible education for our children. We thank you in advance for continuing to focus on supporting the heart and soul of CUSD, its teachers and staff. And the last public comment was for 3M on the consent agenda, and that item is being pulled from consent and moved later. So we'll bring that up later in the meeting. Next up are our employee organization reports. CUTA representative.
Evening. We're just 4 days away from the start of the school year, and we don't have an agreement in place for a cost of living adjustment for the teachers in this district. For the third year in a row, teachers are going into the school year without the respect of a new contract and without a cost of living increase. How did we get here? Plain and simple, there's an ongoing failure to act by the leadership of this district. Let's talk budget. In 2020, the State of California Fiscal Crisis and Management Assistance Team found that the district used improper procedures and processes to establish a budget. We didn't learn from that mistake. And in 2023, the state again found that the district used improper procedures and processes to establish a budget. You, the school board, approved that improper budget. In the state of California, there are 977 school districts. 10 were on the state's list of financial mismanagement twice in the last 5 years. Cabrillo Unified is one of those 10. Now, let's look at district spending in that time. Cabrillo Unified revenue went up by 28%. Spending on books and salaries went up by, supplies, not salaries. Books and supplies went up 180%. Salaries for administration increased by 33%. Salaries for classified employees increased by 18%. Were we thought of that highly? Was there an attempt to greater compensate teachers, the people on the front line of education, the people who stand in front of the students every day? No. 2 years ago, in 2022, we asked for a cost of living increase. The teachers were told there was no money for the teachers. In 2023, we asked again, and we were told there's no money for the teachers. Despite these back-to-back years of being told, nope, nothing for you, we continued to teach. We participated in negotiations in good faith. We did all of our steps the right way, and we got to the finishing touch of fact-finding. In fact-finding, we prepared over 70 slides stating our side of the argument. The school district did not act in the same manner. District leadership failed to provide the fact-finding arbiter with the number of teachers working in the district. Isn't it your responsibility to know how many employees in each category work here in this school district? As a result, the fact-finding arbiter didn't have the full story. And despite this, because it's their job to do so, they made a recommendation based on a false premise. Now, to make matters worse, district leadership is using this arbitrator's baseless recommendation to say that they're making a good faith offer to the teacher. It's more than the arbiter said we should. The arbiter didn't have any facts. He's fact-finding and he had no facts. And now you're using his recommendation as an excuse for your failures. Today, an email was sent out to the community that states that the district is offering more than the arbiter suggested. Stop spreading misleading and disingenuous information. Stop negotiating in the public. We all know that the fact-finding recommendation is based on assumptions. And we all know the joke of what happens when you assume. Moreover, the teachers union doesn't have the ability to email our side of the story to the parents of the community. The school district has a logistical advantage. CUTA thought there was an understanding that both sides would negotiate in private in good faith. We're trying to live up to that, and we'd appreciate it if you did as well. The truth is, the district is not offering close to what we've asked for. 4% after 2 years of delay and subterfuge is not what we asked for. Tying an additional increase to the passing of the parcel tax is an insult. Your teachers are tired of being ignored, and we're tired of being the last people considered. I just want you all to know when I talk to my membership, there's a lot of anger and a lot of feeling of deep disrespect for the work that we do and the care that we show for our students and our community. You just offered, and CSEA agreed to a 4% increase. And it seems like everyone else that works in the district has received a cost of living adjustment. But yet you wouldn't even sit down and talk to CUTA in negotiations this week. We've been patient. We've been cooperative. We provided facts to the fact finder. We've waited and we've waited. And now we're ready to take more serious steps. I want to remind you, maybe you don't know this, but a vote was taken last year and 97% of CUTA membership voted in favor of a strike. If it's not your intention to disrespect the teachers, come back to the table and negotiate in good faith. Please take a moment, look around the room. A couple of people I didn't get to talk to, so they're here, but when you look around the room, there are not many teachers here. And very soon, there may not be teachers in the classroom. Who's going to teach those students? What are you going to do today to keep teachers in the classroom? Now, a few months ago, my predecessor, Tom Cox, made the statement, winter is coming. I'm here to say, winter is here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. CSEA?
Good evening, President Hines, Superintendent Lealva, and the Governing Board. As you probably already know, I'm Holly Lynn, CSEA Chapter 485 President. I would like to highlight the impressive turnout at our recent CSEA meeting. It was the highest attendance we've seen in the past 2 years. This reflects a significant interest and concern from our members about the issue of a much-needed raise. Many of our members have expressed an urgent need for a raise as they are currently struggling to make ends meet. We made sure the meeting was advertised and accessible by offering a hybrid format, allowing as many members as possible to participate. The proposal was accepted by an overwhelming majority vote. I want to clarify some specifics about the one-time scheduled payment of $1,500. Our CSEA negotiating team worked hard to ensure that all members were included. It's important to note that 90% of our CSEA members and non-members work 6 hours or more. We made sure that these people in these positions received the full amount of the $1,500, while those working fewer than 6 hours received prorated payments based on their contracted hours. I also want to acknowledge the diligent work of the CSEA negotiating team. They've been working on this proposal for over 2 years, and their efforts deserve some recognition. Once an agreement is reached between the bargaining teams, it goes through the necessary processes with CSEA, including review by the legal and higher-ups of our union. After receiving their approval, we are required to present the agreement to our members within a 2-week window for a vote. This is why the timing of this meeting was so important, and postponing it was not an option. CSEA members play an important part in our children's education. As we move forward, I hope we can all continue to work together in educating our students and supporting one another. In unity with the teachers, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Next, we have our board member reports. Do I have someone who would like to go first?
Buenas noches, buenas tardes. Si están escuchando esta junta, como siempre están bienvenidos y si necesitan traducción, siempre tenemos aquí a alguien disponible. Tenemos a la magnífica Josefina Impazón que hace un muy buen trabajo y también trabaja para el distrito. So no nada más es traducción por traducir, sino ella también es parte de todo lo que está pasando. Y igual, siempre, como siempre, Rosy está más que dispuesta a ayudar a las personas que no pueden estar aquí, pero quieren hacer algún comentario en línea. So, por favor, si alguna vez necesitan hacer un comentario o involucrarse, no piensen en buscar ayuda y para eso estamos, para apoyarlos. Yo nada más quiero darle la bienvenida a todos aquí por estar aquí y gracias a mis compañeras por poder mover la hora o media hora más tarde para que ya llegue a tiempo y ya no tenga la excusa de llegar tarde por el tráfico. Me da gusto de ver aquí a algunas de nuestras maestros y de la gente que está aquí para ayudar a la comunidad. Yo en lo personal quiero agradecer a todas las personas que están involucradas en la registración de matricular a los estudiantes. Es algo no tan fácil como piensa uno. Yo tuve que inclusive ir para que me ayudaran y los papás estaban preguntando muchas preguntas y yo les dije, estamos todos en la misma situación, yo también no entiendo muchas cosas. Me da gusto que está aquí Rosalba Segura, porque iba a darle las gracias a tus hijos, pero te los voy a dar a ti personalmente, qué orgullo y realmente qué gusto ver a tus muchachos ayudando a la comunidad. Te felicito por eso y muchas gracias por todo. Yo en lo personal nada más fui a la escuela de la high school, pero sé que en todas las escuelas siempre la matriculación es algo muy complicado. La mayoría de los padres han recibido ese correo, pero no saben ni cómo usar sus correos electrónicos, no saben cómo hacer el enlace y todo lo que a veces uno piensa que es muy fácil, en realidad no lo es. Y para mí, pues yo digo que yo soy bilingüe y puedo hablar y leer en inglés, se me hizo también un poco difícil. Muchas gracias a todas las personas que están ayudando a los muchachos matricularse. Y quiero darle la bienvenida porque conocí algunas familias que vienen, las dos familias que yo conocí fueron de México, les quiero dar la bienvenida a todas nuestras nuevas familias y bienvenidos al distrito y bienvenidos a todos para la próxima semana, como dijo el maestro, empieza nuestro nuevo año escolar y buena suerte y muchas felicidades a todos y gracias por hacer lo que hacen por la comunidad, por nuestros estudiantes y pues al final de cuentas también para nosotros, porque todos aquí somos una comunidad y a todos nos afecta lo que está pasando. Muchas gracias. What? Oh.
Despacio, despacio.
I just want to welcome everybody and thank you everybody for being here, teachers. I'm going to try and remember what I said. I'm not the smartest cookie, but I'll try. And so basically I want to welcome everybody and thank everybody for the community for being here. I personally wanted to just say a shout out to all the people who are involved in school enrollment. It's chaotic, it's confusing, it's crazy, and if you don't even know how to read or don't know the language, it's that much complicated. I was actually there having difficulties myself enrolling my child, and I consider myself bilingual, so I was even struggling. But luckily, we had a lot of. I only can personally thank the people. I mean, not. How do I say this? I want to personally thank the people that helped me and the community at the Half Moon Bay High School. And I'm glad Rosalba Segura's here because 2 of her sons were there and they were amazing and they were helping the community. It was crazy. I mean, at one point, I even had my daughter translating, and like I was trying to enroll her and then telling her, go help that lady. And so, because it's very, it can be overwhelming and daunting to parents who are new to this country. I also want to welcome our new families. I met a couple of families coming from Mexico.
and welcome them to the district, as well as welcoming all the returning students and the teachers and everybody. And thank everybody for, for everything that we do for our kids, our community, and at the end of the day, for each other, because we are a community and everything that we do or don't do impacts us in one way or another. So thank you, everybody, for being here, and happy new school year. Is that something? I don't know, I mean to say happy birthday. It just sounds so like happy school year. Anyways, thank you, everybody. That's all.
Thank you, Lizette. So I feel like summer flew by, and it feels like it's been a while since I've been sitting here, so this is a strange sense of time right now. But it is exciting to be back and ready to welcome students back to campus, new and returning staff to our campus, and our new board member, Jamie. So happy to have you here and excited to share this experience with you. I'm really thrilled we can start the new year fresh with our CSE employees, as Holly mentioned earlier, pending board approval of the tentative agreement at tonight's meeting. Should hopefully have the money in your pockets, well, not your pockets, Holly, but your members' pockets within a few weeks, I hope. We'll check on the timing later when we have the agenda item. As well as our management and unrepresented employees. I think it's really important that where we can move forward, we move forward, and hopefully with CUTA soon as well. I think that will be really, really fantastic. I know everyone here, if I can speak for folks, is really eager to do that for our teachers and our counselors, so they could receive their much-deserved increases and bonuses as well. It's certainly been a tough process coming off the heel over the last few years, as was mentioned earlier, coming off the heels of a post-pandemic budget. It's just a reminder, we had several $1 million of COVID pandemic relief funding that was highly restricted. And I know our business staff was working to juggle all that money coming in from every which way, have it go out to the right places. We had a significant leave of absence by our prior CBO, and we're now here with Jennifer and her team of like one to manage a pretty, a budget that now is coming back to a more stable place of about $45 million. So again, it's a highly complex budget. And I say this coming from a global firm doing clinical trials in cancer patients to see what school districts have to go through. And it's especially hard when we're so small. We don't have the staff to manage a budget that is as complex as a larger district in many ways. So if I may invite folks that want to know more about the budget and how it works, of course, we have a budget committee, but I'm sure Jennifer would be happy to walk anyone through the 10-minute version of how the money comes in and how the money comes out and why it's so complicated. Because I think it's something that I didn't appreciate till I got on the board and I was accountable for making sure that that budget is sustainable. How difficult it is, and you have to make assumptions. That's just like how budgets work. That's by definition, if you talk to any accountant, any finance person, there are always assumptions, and sometimes those assumptions are pretty close to what actualizes. Sometimes they're a little bit farther. So that's a juggle, and put on top of that the funding formula from the state that naturally causes a roller coaster. We're a little bit more stable now because a good chunk of our budget comes from our property taxes, but nonetheless, a lot of other restricted funding doesn't. So I'm very appreciative for all the work that staff does to try to manage a lot of those complexities and uncertainties. And I just want to say, this board is accountable to the public for doing that, for overseeing the operations of the district. Our labor partners, who we love and value truly, they're accountable to members. And so I think it's important that my expectation, I can say, is that district staff will use the channels that they have available to communicate to the public what is happening in the district and when it's happening in a timely way. So I do have the expectation, use websites, emails, one-on-one conversations, presentations here, whatever it is that you have to show the public what we're doing. So I'm grateful for that. And the truth, just something I keep thinking about too is we all deserve a little bit more, right? I mean, I can say personally, I put in 20 to 30 hours a week for the board on average, and my pay, like all my fellow colleagues here, is about $220 a month. I could probably be making that per hour easily somewhere, but I don't, because I choose to spend my time here. And it's a joy and a pleasure. It's not easy, but it's important. And for me, the ethos that I operate by is just, even when things aren't easy, we have to work together, because then everybody does better. So that's just what I wanted to share with folks.
Thank you, Sophia. Mary Beth or Carmen?
I'll make mine brief. Again, thank you for coming public. One of my sons was in summer school this summer, so I wanted to do a big shout out to all the wonderful staff who put on summer school for elementary school kids at Hatch. That was a lovely, lovely experience. And like Lizette, I also enrolled a ninth grader this week, and that was quite an experience. And also want to thank all the staff. I talked to so much staff and parents, and thank you for doing that. And yeah, the Power School thing is rough. Turned out my husband had already logged everybody in, and I didn't know, so I was like, why can't I do it? And anyway, but it got cleared up. So anyway, and that's all I've got for today, and thank you again.
I'm brief. I just want to welcome everyone back and just say that, I don't have much more to add than what everyone else has already said. And I just want to make it clear that I do appreciate all of our employees and all our different employee groups. And I really do want everyone to be happy, and we're working hard and we're trying. So we got fresh faces here. We got a new team. So I'm hoping, things can move forward with all our employees. And I just really want to welcome back and get a good start to the year, and want everyone to be happy. Thank you.
I have a couple of items. One regarding I had it in my notes to actually speak to the lighting at Fairlawn View, because I saw those pictures that were posted, and I wanted to also thank Superintendent Lealva for saying, turn them off. We got something to work out here, but turn them off. So as soon as it got through the pipeline, they were off, and obviously correction needs to be done. I do believe, and Superintendent Lealva and I spoke about being good neighbors on all of our sites. That's highly important. But for Fairlawn View, who's kind of been on the leading edge of disconnects and some noise and some growing pains in getting this new construction done, thank you for your abundance of patience, and please know that we definitely want to work with you. I think it's also a really good example of why Midcoast Community Council and our Planning Commission understands where there have been disconnects. There were problems with the firehouse in El Granada. There's some of the other sites in the county. And just because you have a design from a lighting engineer that gets implemented doesn't mean that it fits with our neighborhoods. And so it's highly important that if we dial it in, it may feel like it takes a little bit more on the front end, but I think it's cost savings in the long run. So I really appreciate Superintendent Lealva's efforts there. I want to acknowledge, and I don't want to take her thunder, I'm sure she'll speak to it, but there were 2 days of administrative work, and the board was invited to be part of that workshop with site leaders from all of the schools in the district office. And it truly was a pleasure to be present with our school leaders and to hear the conversations, be part of the conversations that truly value our teachers and our students. And, I appreciate the sense of hope and optimism that our new superintendent brings, and I heard it. At the end of the day, there was a circle of the second day. They talked about what would you like to see 3 years from now in our district, and it was so positive and so optimistic, and it was a stable workforce and teachers that are valued, and rich curriculum for the students, and visual and performing arts, and strong facilities, and to hear the multiple voices telling the story was really important. And at the end of the day, I want to hear more of that storytelling and shared story for our community. So, so yes, thank you to our new superintendent for leading that those workshops. Next up, our student board member, Jamie.
Thank you. I just have a short report kind of just from what's been going on at the high school the last few days. So yesterday, the incoming freshmen were welcome to Half Moon Bay High School for freshman orientation. They got to meet Principal Boysen and were given tours of the campus by leadership students, where they kind of got to learn about what to expect for the next school year. They also received their schedules as well as their Chromebooks. And schedule pickup for upperclassmen took place today and will occur tomorrow as well. And overall, students are getting excited for the new school year as summer comes to a close.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, I do have a lot to report. First of all, I just want to thank Jamie. Welcome to our team, our governance team. We're so excited to have you. You represent our students well, and we thank you so much for being here. I've got a lot to report, so I want to thank everyone. So first of all, I want to address our CUTA member who spoke. Thank you so much for being here and for representing. I'm wearing red today in support of teachers because I never forget that I'm a teacher. I would not be in this position if I had not been a teacher. I taught kindergarten and first grade and second grade, and I'm a teacher first and foremost a teacher. So I look forward to being in your classrooms and reading with your students, taking on lessons. You want me to take a lesson? You want a break? Sign me up. I'll take your classroom. I'll give you a break. Let me know. Give me a call. My phone number is 650-445-8008. Once again, it's 650-445-8008. I never forget where I came from. I'm a teacher first and foremost. So I want to thank our teachers so much. So today, I spent the day at lunch. We had our new teacher orientation. And let me tell you what impressed me so much. Most of our teachers came from our district. They were students who went through our school district, and they chose to come back here. Let's just be honest, right? I'm sorry, let's just put it out there. Every one of us could go make more money over the hill, right? Over the hill. But these young teachers, and I say young because I'm so old, they came back to teach in our district. They were from our school system and they came back. So one, that tells me we have awesome teachers who do a great job of educating our students. And two, we have an amazing school system where our teachers, our kids want to come back and teach in our district. So I just want to give a shout out to all educators. When I say educators, I don't just mean teachers. It's our classified as well. It's our paraprofessionals. It's our office staff. I mean, who is the first person you see when you walk into a school? It's your school secretary, which I think that's a bad word now, isn't it? Administrative assistant? It's your school administrative assistant. It's all of our staff that plays into educating our students. Our whole entire, from the custodian. I'm going to tell you, I was a principal, our custodians are mentors to our students. They know what's going on. So every single employee in our district plays a part in educating our students. And our students said, hey, I got a great education. I'm coming back. I'm coming back. So I want to address a couple things. Let's just be honest. Power School, it was rough. I would love to say, raise your hand if you had a hard time registering students. That would be a lot of our parents, okay? From board members to my right and left hand, my brain, my heart, Rosie. It was rough. So anytime you institute something new, I'm just going to ask for your grace and your patience as we get through the rough patches. But I've got an amazing IT team. They're on it. They're working through it. And again, 650-445-8008. You got a problem? Call me. You know what? I'll walk down the hall and say, Giannis, Stig, figure this out, fix it. And we will, and we will. So I thank you in advance for your patience through registration and through getting all through the humps of a new system. But at the end, it's going to be more efficient and more effective for our students and for our families. All right, the lights. I'm sorry, every family at Fairlawn View, the lights suck. I'm sorry. Roger, are you not on it? That'd be a yes. Roger's on it. We've already turned them off. Whenever you do something new, there's bumps, right? There's kind of patches. We're trying to figure it out. We're trying to program. So we are working through how to figure out the light situation, and we are already ahead for El Granada. We're working through it, and we'll be better the next time. And then after El Granada, we'll make some mistakes, and the next time, we'll be even better the next time, right? Continuous learning cycle, right? We learn, we make mistakes, we improve, we move on. All right, I want to talk about our leadership retreat. So I was very fortunate that through our you could call them vendors. I choose to call them our corporate partners, one of which is Vanner Construction, which is Roger, and who's helping our construction management. We were able to raise $10,000 from our corporate partners. So I was able to take all of our district office staff and our administrative team off-site to a beautiful location to be able to come together and team build and talk about what is it that we need to do on behalf of students. And we did some amazing work, and I will share with the board. So on Sunday, Rosie will publish this by Friday, board agenda. The board is going to be going through a retreat on Sunday. It's open session. You're all welcome to attend. But I will share a little bit with the board about what we did. So what I learned is we're a little bit broken. We need to do some healing. But we have amazing leaders who are willing to step up to the plate and do whatever it takes on behalf of our kids. We are ready for the challenge, and we will meet our kids where they're at and take them to the next level. So I just want to thank all of our leaders. Our leaders include our district office staff, our administrative assistants, the front office staff. The front office staff, they know what's going on. They are the bomb, and I appreciate them so much. And all of our principals and all of our leaders. So, and next year, we will extend it out to include some teacher leaders, and we'll keep building it out every year. But this year was just our district office staff and our leaders. What else? Oh, so in the last month, I've been on my Look, Listen, and Learn tour. So I've been meeting with staff. I've been meeting with community members. I went to Moonridge and met with Norma, the director, and met with the parents there, and realized that as a district, we cannot expect our parents to come to us. We have to come to our parents. We have to meet them where they're at. So we're going to start having meetings at Moonridge, where many of our parents live. It's a housing complex where many families live. So we're going to get out into the community and meet parents where they're at. I was on a walk, so I just recently moved to Moss Beach. I'm now a resident. Woohoo! I'm so excited. And I was walking through the park one day, and I saw a bunch of parents, and I was like, you have small kids. What school do you go to? And I saw the schools, and I was like, we should have a ELAC meeting, English Language Advisory Committee meeting, or a PTA meeting here. Let's meet our parents where they're at. Let's go to the park. Let's go to Moonridge. Let's meet our parents where they're at. So it's just been a joy to look, listen, and learn with parents, community members. I've met with a lot of business owners. How can we partner with our business owners to help our district, to leverage us to become the next great thing for our kids, for our community, be partners? Other than that, what else? I do want to address that we are in negotiations with our teachers. We are continually working with them. I've been in constant contact with the teachers, lead negotiations Matter of fact, today I met with a lead negotiator. We're on constant speed dial, and I am confident that we will be able to come to an agreement and reach an agreement. But I do want to let my board know and our parents know that unfortunately, if we do get to the point where we have to strike, we are prepared. We have substitute organizations lined up. All of my staff know you will be out at sites. You will be in classrooms and you'll be subbing. So I'm confident we can reach an agreement before that happens, but I want to let every parent, every student, and every family know if it does come to that, we are prepared. And we will make sure that your kids have a qualified teacher in their classroom on day one. With that, I just want to say I'm so grateful to my board for this opportunity to serve you all, and I take this job very seriously. And again, I'm here to serve you. I know that I only have a job because you families choose to send your kids to Cabrillo Unified. And again, if I can serve you, please reach me at 650-445-8008. Thank you so much. I'm your superintendent, but I can't work this microphone.
We all have trouble with the microphone, so no worries. Next up is our consent agenda, and reminder that we pulled item 3D, and our special ed items will come to the end, as well as M, which was the management and unrepresented salary schedule. Those items come to the end. Do I have, Rosie?
We need a motion
Okay.
and a second.
Motion to approve what's on the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
And a second? A second. Sorry.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Sophia. So we are doing roll call for this. Kim,
Aye.
Carmen,
Aye.
Lisette,
Aye.
Mary Beth,
Aye.
Sophia,
Aye.
Jamie.
Aye.
It passes 5+1.
Next on the agenda, 4A, Los Listos Early Learning Program presentation.
And board, I just want to let you know that I am so proud of all the great work that we're doing, but we are going to honor and respect the board's requirement of a 7-minute presentation. But please know that you have the opportunity to ask questions at the end, or you can come visit our programs because our staff are doing great work. 7 minutes.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Graciela Kravenschmidt, and I'm the Early Childhood Educator Supervisor for the preschool program in Cabrillo and the after-school program, TK after-school program in Hatch and El Granada.
Rosalba Segura here again after 25 years. Thank you for keeping me. I love this district and I think I'm going to stay for a few more. My title is Program Coordinator for Early Childhood, Expander Learning, and Family Engagement.
She has the longest title in the district.
She does. I have the longest last name and she has the longest title. We do have about 6 items and we have 7 minutes, so we're going to try to go pretty fast. We do have early screenings for our students. We identify the families that are interested in our program. We do have a couple events through the year, through the library and through the community to inform parents about our program. We like I said, we reach out to families. We do universal screenings for the students, ages and stages social, emotional. We start as young as 2.5 to do these screenings with the parents and the children. And when we identify the students, we gave them some materials. You can do next. We give some materials to the families so the students can start using them 6 months prior to when they start school. We do address concerns from parents when it comes to speech or other areas of development, and we try to give those materials for them, and we have 3 Zoom meetings through those before we start school. So we can do activities with the parents, and they send us pictures what they're doing, and parents talk among themselves what is working for them. We give them a lot of advice and examples and more things that they can do at home, so they can come prepared. So we do referrals. We connect families with Cabrillo, with the special education department, and they start doing evaluations right away, so children can get early intervention. And by the time they start our school, we start school today. Actually, today was the first day of school. For los listos, we offer 200 days of services, so we have to give them 20 more days from the school calendar. So we started today.
So basically, we work with them before they even go to the center. We start recruiting them when they're 2.5 years old, and that's when she started doing all the assessments, the screening, and the home visiting and providing materials. So when they come to preschool, they're a little more familiar with what is expected of them when they're 3.
So the curriculum alignment and assessment, we do DRDPs, Desired Results Development Profile. These are assessments that the teachers use throughout the year. There's basically documentation, observations, videos, and pictures that they can use individually for each student, and they can see the progress through the school year. They do communicate these observations to the parents twice a year. We do have teacher-parent conferences in the fall and in the spring. And also we use the California Preschool Learning Foundations aligned to our curriculum. And we do use the Brigands screening assessment for children that are 3 years old, 4-year-olds, and 5-year-olds twice a year. The students we serve, contracted by the California State Preschool Program, families are certified for 2 years, and we serve children ages 2.8 to 4-year-olds. We serve children with special needs, including those with full individualized education programs, IEPs, and exceptional needs. TK students and wraparound services are now being offered for the actually 3rd school year.
As of right now, we only have wraparound services in 2 schools, Hatch Elementary and El Granada, and hopefully when we have space and more capacity, we'll increase it to Fairlawn View.
Our inclusion program, this is the 4th year that we offer an inclusion program. In our school, in our preschool, we have 2 morning classes that include children eligible for special education, and they have a full IEP. Our classes are 2080 this year, so we have 6 children with exceptional needs, 3 in each classroom, and we're working together with the special education staff. So all the services will be pushed into the regular class. So rather than taking them to another classroom, all the services will be included in our preschool program. Like Rosalba said, the transitional kindergarten wraparound services are offered in El Granada and Hatch. And we have the children come after the regular school day. We align with the school calendar from August 15th through June 5th, and the areas that the teachers or our staff cover is social emotional learning, enrichment and life skill, academic support, and physical fitness. Some pictures from our graduation in last June, and Amber was actually attended to our preschool graduation, so really happy to have her there. Some pictures from our students. 2 minutes.
2 minutes, family engagement. Really important. As I mentioned before, we try to do home visits as much as we can. We become very familiar with the families. We finally have a very stable parent advisory committee for Los Listos. They guide us just like you do to our leaders in our district. The majority of the times when we meet with the parents, you always have great suggestions, and they're really eager to participate. One of the areas that we're trying to evolve a little more is in being able to engage and create a new support systems, oversee the low socioeconomics, language barriers, you live in Monterey, we live in Montera, especially now with a group of families that are part of our inclusion class, monolingual in English. We feel very, very blessed and fortunate to have our little ones being exposed to different ways of how to just interact with other families and other students. As you know, when we have increased parent participation, academic benefits are enormous. Social emotional development is great. And I just got the cue that I need to cut it short. And I know we want to expand. So hopefully we work together to be able to expand to other sites in collaboration with the principals, of course, but the need is greater than what we can provide as far as preschool. So thank you very much.
Any questions?
Any comments or questions from the board?
Yes. Les quiero dar las gracias por estar aquí y siempre qué placer verlas de nuevo. Ojalá que nunca se vayan y que sigan por 25 años más, porque yo sé que ustedes, sí, no, yo sé que ustedes tienen una muy buena gratificación por hacer esto, si no, no estuvieran aquí tantos años. Y qué orgullo y también alegría ver cómo han avanzado, o sea, de lo que fueron a lo que son. Wow, muchísimas gracias por todo lo que han hecho, porque yo creo que sin ustedes y sin sus ideas, su motivación y las ganas de querer ayudar a las familias, a los niños y a la comunidad, no sería el programa lo que es ya. Siempre ha sido un buen programa, pero ustedes siempre hacen todo lo que puedan hacer para hacerlo mejor, y muchas gracias, de verdad, en serio, muchas gracias. A mí siempre me encanta saber lo que ustedes están haciendo, y me da tanto gusto que tengamos ahora ya la presentación de esta escuela, que en realidad ha estado por muchos años, pero si no fuera para ustedes no fuera acreditada y no estuvieran aquí haciendo estas presentaciones. Muchísimas gracias. Yo también me da mucho gusto saber lo que están haciendo con los niños de educación especial, que lo están incorporando. Es algo tan importante. Eso es beneficio a los niños con las discapacidades y también para los otros niños, de saber que hay niños diferentes y todos somos en una forma o manera diferente, y la tolerancia y saber cómo convivir, eso es tan importante. La otra cosa en la que tocaste brevemente, que siempre he querido saber, porque siempre que han mejorado, es la comunicación y el trabajo unido entre la escuela y las clases, o sea, las maestras del distrito, porque pensarías que estás en una escuela y tendrías acceso y más incorporación a los grados, por ejemplo, kinder, qué sé yo, primer grado, y siempre ha fallado un poquito eso. Y no por diferentes razones, ¿verdad? No digo que nadie tiene la culpa, pero esto siempre es tan importante, porque yo siempre veo que cuando hay graduaciones y ya están, hasta tienen un Parent Advisory Committee, un comité de los padres, yo veo a esos padres más que preparados para querer seguir ayudando y apoyando a sus hijos, pero desafortunadamente poco a poco eso se va yendo, porque ustedes no están allí, y el hecho que les están dando esas herramientas y les están ayudando que ellos mismos tomen las iniciativas, aunque claro, como todo, necesitan apoyo. Eso es tan importante. Muchas gracias, de verdad. Y gracias por estar aquí. Preguntas no tengo, nada más. La única era que sí quería saber cómo estaban con eso de con la colaboración de los maestros, como por ejemplo del kinder, cuando hacen la transición de la preescolar a los grados kinder. Oh yeah, in English. I'm sorry.
So I think you forgot.
I just wanted to thank them, and what an honor to see what this program has become. It's been a program that's been here for for a very long time. And these two ladies, I hope they're here for another 25 years, because they've really done great work with this program. They did all they needed to do to make it an accredited school. Now they have their own little campus,
and they're not shoved around at all different campuses. They've been at Cunha, they've been at the parking lot. I mean, they've been everywhere, you name it, and they've been there. Just grateful to have a space, but now you guys have worked and all your work has, it's just amazing, all the work that you do. I wanted to give you guys kudos for implementing the new, because it wasn't like that, but implementing the kids with special needs into the regular classrooms. And it's just what a benefit for the kids with the special needs and also the regular students, because it's important for kids to be around other people and learn tolerance and just learn that we're all different and that's okay. So thank you for doing that. And it's so great to see how the graduating class has like just a tremendous family and parent support. And it's just, I hate when it slowly starts to fade away as the years progress, but you guys are working, you guys have a committee now. So I'm positive and confident that you guys have given these parents the tools to know that even though you are not their teacher anymore or not their go-to person because they're now at a different school and, you know, as it goes on, you have to move on. Just giving them the tools and the confidence to continue to participate, to continue to be involved in whatever way or manner that they could be. Thank you guys for doing that. I guess my only question, and I've always, it's always been, I mean, I'm not saying it's a problem, but I just was curious how it's been going with the, like transition and working with the kindergarten teachers and that transition, because you would think, I would have thought many years ago it would have been a lot smoother because we're all in the same district, but for whatever reason, I just think that's really important because you guys do such a great job, and I was just curious how that's going.
I think we have a kindergarten teacher right here, and it's everything with intentions.
Yes.
Collaboration and being meaningful to each other, I think is the beginning of a relationship. It is not perfect. We always try and try, but I have a Jewel right next to me. She makes connections with the teachers. She lets me do construction and building. So we make a really great team.
Yes.
But it's with intentions and keeping in mind that we're doing it for the kids and their families. There's that romance when they're little, they're still, they're new to the district. They always come back to us because we're available all the time. We try to make systems of support for them inside and outside our public school system. And I think the most important thing is that we really, really make an effort to connect with the families and also make the connection with the teachers. We always support each other now with Graciela's role and my role of being able to extend a little more to TK and K and the wraparound. The collaboration has to be closer all the time. Being in different sites and having more emphasis in one school site is because we want to do it right. Not perfect, we want to do it right in order to us to go to the next class or the next school site and provide the same meaningful services that we are trying to just make sure we master. It takes a lot of work from teachers, preschool teachers, kinder teachers, and a lot of work goes unseen from parents as well. So I think that I always value the trust that papás ponen en nosotros, the parents really place on us, and we try to do our best. But there's a lot of collaboration, a lot of grants, not a lot, a few grants came that really kind of lead us that path of collaboration, Big Lift being one for about 7 years or more. I know it's a headache, Jennifer, I'm sorry, but we almost mastered that beast. State preschool came after that because we had to have a requirement of hours or minutes of instruction, then the certification or accreditation of our staff, and then the place. Where are you going to deliver the services? You need to have a licensed classroom. Roger, thank you so much for making the last 3-4 months so easy in the transition of classrooms and the playground, because now we're ready. We're ready to have those special needs students, exceptional needs students, in a seamless environment where they're not treated any different other than, how we need to develop IEPs. But enough said, you want to add anything to it? You want to talk about the I think the assessments also, taking the data that we get doing those early assessments, putting them in place for about 2 consecutive years, having that communication with, oh, ahí te van, Brenda, here you go, Brenda, makes it easier. Alignment of curriculum using the same assessment tools and trying to align curriculum also works. Again, we need a little more time to master what we're doing on one side, and more than happy to replicate that.
Muchas gracias. Gracias, Brenda, también por todo lo que haces. Yo he tenido el honor de estar en tu clase y me has invitado a leer y veo que están siempre muy contentos de estar allí y tú siempre estás muy alegre. So, muchas gracias por hacer esa experiencia tan positiva para todos los niños. I just want to thank Brenda. I've been honored to be allowed to go to her class and help read in Spanish, and I could just see how happy those kids are and what a great teacher she is, and for creating that atmosphere and environment and that experience for those kids. So thank you.
I just want to add a comment to you before you go, because I think everything she said, first of all, I kept wanting to jump and say yes, 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 and to just say how much I appreciate Dick. 2 things stand out to me about the early education program and how it's grown and developed over the last couple of years, and it's similar to comments I've made previously about the Pilarcitos High School program. It's just 2 things. Number one, it is your collaboration with each other and with district staff, and I think Rosalva, you said the word collaboration like 15 times, because I know that's what you do. Everything you do, it's like you work together in the facilities, you work together in the finance, you work together to integrate into kindergarten, TK or kindergarten. And it's that working together, like that's how everything else happens. And when your goal is not inclusion, but I mean, you say inclusion, but I would say it's one step further than that. And so really you're creating a sense of belonging. It's not just like, hey, you can come to my party, Lizette, but it's my party. Right? It's saying, hey, let's have a party together. This is our party. This is designed for you. We have play structures that you can go on even if you don't have the same kind of physical abilities that other peers might have. Or you have different ways of thinking or relating to the world or sensing the world. And so I think that sense of belonging that you create among your students and the families, I think is also exemplary, as it is at Pilarcitos High School as well. And so I just want to point that out and thank you for that. And I would definitely love to come visit sometime. Because, oh my God, they are so cute. Those pictures, thank you.
I have a couple questions. Don't go yet. All that, but you talked about a wait list, or you talked about being full and want to expand, that there's still more people that could use it at other sites. Do you have a wait list at Hatch? Are you full at Hatch? And how do you know, have an idea of what kind of, how many you might have at other sites? What's the feel on that?
Just going by the 25 years of experience, there always has been a need. The problem was we didn't have a home. We didn't have a home to grow, a home to become a family members that are strong, committed to be familia. Now we do. We do have that place. We have the means as far as where we're going to provide those services. Yes, there's a wait list, especially now with TK cutoff age. I don't know how to refer to it. Is that the cutoff date, right? The need is greater for full day, but that's where we're stuck for the last 2 years, and Jennifer knows this too. When we go to full day, which means 6 or more hours of preschool services, which is ideal, everyone wants that. It's almost like the wraparound combination of preschool and wraparound. The problem is we need to be open for 244 days. So we don't have the souls just yet of wanting to work full year, and that kind of creates another challenge. That's what I want to explore, what we can do, where we probably open a full day preschool in some other site, but we need to have different staff, maybe morning and afternoon type of a thing. So yes, there's always going to be a wait list. We're probably going to get more parents that want to enroll kids full day. We're trying to find those ways of when in a year, 2 years. We have to really make sure we're in a stable finances and also staff and all the above, right? To be able to jump to the next chapter of preschool services within CUSD.
Plus, I just want to point out that there's a county organization that assigns how many slots each school district gets. So we're only allowed to have as many slots as whatever this county, I forget, I'm not sure what it is here.
It's 50 the most, 50.
So
Yeah.
we don't get to just choose however many we want to have. What is the organization here?
Right now, we're under San Mateo County Office of Ed. We're in subcontract with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So each county is different, so they assign how many slots you get. And so even if you want to house 150 kids and you have the space and you have the staff, that's a perfect world. We are only allowed so many spots per the county.
Because they're paying for those 50 spots?
Correct.
Well, they're paying part of it.
Yeah, we
They're
get
paying part of
reimbursement.
it.
It's a reimbursement
It's
formula.
reimbursement.
Okay.
But it's also this statewide organization. It's part of like First Five, and it's part of different organizations who say, okay, Cabrillo, you get this much. Pacifica, you get this much. San Mateo, you get this much, whatever. So they are the deciders.
So if we did expand, that money are there other programs that help cover that cost, or does that just come off our bottom line? How does the finance
It comes
work
off
on
our
that?
bottom line. So we get a reimbursement from the state, and then it comes off.
Well,
I'll
we
let you
don't get a
speak.
reimbursement from the state anymore now that we're basic aid, or is this different?
This
No, we
is
do.
different.
We do.
This is Title
different.
V.
This
Yeah,
is
it's
different. We do
a-
get a reimbursement from the state, but it's based on what they say we can get, unless I'm wrong.
No, you're correct.
I mean, I've
Yeah.
been out of it for a little bit.
And you need to also take into consideration that we have other agencies that are partners as well.
Right.
That they get, so if they assign 100 part-day preschool spaces to the coast, and we have 50,
They might
there's
assign some
25
to
in
a
CSPP,
private, right?
and exactly, they're CPP. It's one of those, Coastal Children's Program.
They look at how many kids and they assign the spot. So some of it might go to our district, some of it might go to a private preschool,
Correct.
some of it might go to a state-sponsored preschool
Okay.
that's somewhere else.
Okay.
But the state tells us how many we can get.
Okay.
And before we even ask for an increment, we have to provide that the community needs more spaces. So we have to go through a state survey and kind of a census.
About
and
birth rates and
Yes,
things like that?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
And then there was some talk in the past about maybe trying to mix in some full paying regular preschool families to help fund things?
Correct.
Is that still in the works?
We wanted to tap into one of the items that got moved to next month, I believe, and that's the expanded learning services for a 1-year pilot program to see if we can sustain that.
But there's a lot of
yeah.
restrictions with that, a lot of federal restrictions. 'Cause
Correct.
anytime you're putting a paid person with a subsidized person, there's a lot of restrictions.
Correct.
Okay.
So we have to kind of, it's complicated, but it,
We're exploring that, and we're asking for, start with 1 year, kind of work with the soft side of expanded learning ELOP grant, and then it's very similar, it's going to be very similar to state preschool.
And is your new campus, is it full? Or you're full because of the number of slots you're
We're
allotted?
full because the number, yes.
Okay, but
And
you would-
also because one SPED student counts almost for 2 spaces because of the need of the care that they require in the special services that they require.
And what are the hours? So you said it's not full day.
8:30 to 11:45.
And then, so the wraparound services aren't for those kids? 'cause
Not
they're
for
out-
preschoolers.
It's for the
TK all the way to 5th grade.
Okay, and then, okay, so because they get out too early and we
Yeah.
don't have that.
We have
Okay.
8 weeks at the beginning of the year where they spend more time with us, they wrap around. Yeah.
Wait, say that again?
Because of early dismissal for TK and K, the first 8 weeks,
Yeah.
as soon as we dismiss the preschool students, the same staff is getting the TK wraparound and kinder wraparound our school site.
Okay, so there's wraparound services for
TK
TK and
K.
preschool for the first?
No, not preschool. Preschool
Okay,
is just part
TK.
days, yes.
Okay, and there's wraparound services when they get out early, those first 8 weeks?
Correct.
Oh, we just got an email about that. Interesting.
Hatch.
But that's Oh, just Hatch, and that's just qualified kids. Okay.
So you do have a superintendent who has expertise in this area.
Okay, well,
So
thank
if I'm
God.
directed by 3 or more board members, I'd be happy to work with our staff to pursue other opportunities. And by the way, I am trained in DRDPs, ages and stages,
I got
and
your number.
grants. No offense, Jennifer, but I would love to spend more time in preschool than doing budgets. Just saying. But I serve at the pleasure of the board.
Well, we want you to do both, so thankfully, I know you're a hard worker, so we're very grateful for that. And I just want to state the obvious of why we're so excited about early education. It's not because they're cute, I mean, they're cute, right? But also because we know the data shows, not only here in this school district, that kids are coming to school with very different levels of preparedness for kindergarten. We've seen that with our data, where they come into kindergarten and it's fully racially predictable, socioeconomically predictable. So I think that's the reason for the investment in this program, and that we know that these programs, it's a little hard now to gather data because of the confounding variable of the pandemic. Like you can't really compare it to before the pre-K program. It's like, well, before the pre-K program, they weren't at home with masks for 2 years, so it's a little bit difficult, I think, to see the data, but I would love to hear qualitatively when I visit kindergarten classrooms with you guys to see kind of just, certainly you can see some differences that, in terms of the support that kids have. So for sure, to be able to lay the foundation where kids can have that support in different kinds of ways, I think let's keep exploring it, because that early investment precludes more costly interventions later as well, right? So it's not only, it's clearly the best thing for the kid to not fall behind, to have to catch up. It's also a lot easier to not fall behind, to have to catch up if you just have the right footing from the start. So thank you to staff too, current, prior, and existing, and everything that's made this an area of focus, because I think it's really critical for, again, coming back to our strategic plan. One of our primary goals of the 4 was equity, and I think for me this is a really crucial piece of our equity strategy. As well as the things that you mentioned in terms of belonging. That's academic improvement, that's equity, that's sustainability, that's whole child, that's everything. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out, and thank you.
Thanks
Any
so
more
much.
questions?
No. Okay. Thank you very much. Item 4B, Summer School 2024 presentation.
We're going to present in 3 parts. Brenda's going to start. Victor will go second.
7 minutes, yes. Good afternoon. My name is Brenda de Jesus Acosta. I know most of the board. I am a kindergarten immersion teacher at Hatch, and I also just completed my third summer as the Big Lift program manager. So we're going to talk about all of our summer programs, which is Big Lift over at Hatch, the STEAM over at Cunha, extended school year at Hatch, and the high school program at Cunha, and then the ELOPE and the migrant everywhere. So this is just our overview. We served about 545 students. You can see the breakdown of the students at each site there. So Big Lift, we have this poster here that a rising 3rd grade student created. She loves Big Lift. This was her last year at Big Lift, so she really wanted to show, she's grateful for the program. Her family is very grateful. Some of the partners we have at Big Lift there. So in the morning, our Big Lift days are split up into 2. We have a meaningful morning, which is led by a credentialed teacher, and then we have the amazing afternoons led by 2 San Mateo County Library facilitators. So in the morning, they go through the reading and writing and math curriculum. We do pre and post assessments, and we serve Rising K through Rising 3rd. The assessments are completed for Rising 1st and Rising 3rd. And then our amazing afternoons, again, it's more geared towards STEAM. So they have science, technology, engineering, art, and mindfulness. They have a lot of think, make, try designs, physics, robotics, math, and chemistry, and lots of yoga for mindfulness. And we do go on some fun field trips. We went to Memorial Park this year. We do Ink Spell, where they provide 2 free books for our students. We went to Pigeon Point, we visited the Half Moon Bay Library, and we had an exotic animal show. Firefighters came, and this Rising K students were able to get the hose and spray water, which was so exciting for them. And then we have a magic show at the end. And then we had the last day, we have a closing ceremony, and Sophia attended, so thank you so much. It was a great ceremony this year where all the classes participated live, because sometimes they like to pre-record it and then I just show it on the screen. But this year, every single class was up on stage performing some kind of skit. They danced. They did, like one of them did the piñata song, and they were running around breaking a piñata that they had created. So it was very cute. So yeah, that's it.
Hi, good evening. My name is Victor Guzman. I am the assistant principal at Cunha, and this was my first summer doing the principalship and sharing it with Debbie. So one of the things I can tell you that I learned is our summer STEAM program is really working and striving towards accomplishing the vision of Cabrillo Unified, which is to ensure that all students dream and achieve. And that's one of the biggest things that I learned. We want to increase awareness in STEAM, make sure that we're exposing students to different activities. I'll be skipping through the slides, so I'll tell you which slide I'm going to. I'm going to start off at slide number 10, which is our curriculum. So one of the things I want to highlight for you is the hands-on projects that students were working on using the curriculum NG Science. Our focus during the summer STEAM program is energy and the environment. I think one of the things that's important to recognize is that not only are we focusing on the STEAM component, we're also supporting the visual and performing arts. We partnered with Alas, who was doing folklorico, hip-hop dancing, Peruvian drumming, different activities. And also we supported socio-emotional needs of our students. We did some circles throughout the summer program that were led by trained therapists. A little bit later, I'll tell you a little bit more about 2 new programs that we had this summer, which included an ELD class and a math support class for our 4th through 8th graders. I'm going to go to slide 13, which is here, so you can see how many students we served. We served a diverse group of students, 165 total, and a lot of them were our at-promise students, English language learners, students that were recently reclassified, students with IEPs across 4th through 8th grade. I'm going to go to slide 14 and 15, which include our ELD program. So this summer, we started a new ELD program to support our students that were close to reclassifying in the previous years. They worked on reading and writing strategies that are going to support them not only with LPAC testing, but also throughout their school year. Our math program that we had this summer, also new. This one was meant to support rising 7th and 8th graders. And they focused on building an interactive math notebook that thankfully our math department here at Cunha is going to allow these students to use this notebook throughout the school year so that they can refer back to what they learned over the summer. And I think that's pretty special. I know we're limited on time, but if you have a second, when you have a moment, please listen to these short clips from our students. I'm going to skip them for now because we're short on time. But I do want to highlight our partners at the Boys and Girls Club. So the Boys and Girls Club led the afternoon part of the STEAM program, and they did a lot of things from sports, arts and crafts, to different games. They also used our home ec room for cooking activities, which I thought was really special. And they did quite a few field trips, including some of the ones I'm going to highlight in slides 17 and 20. So the first one I want to highlight for you is our students in 4th grade went to the Fitzgerald Marine Preserve, where they did a 2-day tide pool exploration. I thought that was pretty special. We also had the female flight explorers have our students see rockets, planes, and hot air balloons. But as a former STEM teacher, the one that excited me the most was the pumpkin bots. With the help of community volunteers, our 7th and 8th graders were led to build their own robots. And Boys and Girls Club is hoping to use this to launch a robotics program here at Cunha. And I used to do that when I was a teacher, so I'm really excited about that. And that is what I have for you today. I'll pass it on to Debbie.
Thank you. So I am going to go ahead and present extended school year. We did have 3 classes. We had 4 classes. 3 at Hatch and 1 at Cunha. And they met all the IEP services. Okay. These were all the services provided. The speech was online. That was the only little hiccup that was different than last year. We had transportation for everybody, and it just met all their IEP needs. Food was provided. Here's the summer skills. It was full at 14, ended up at 12, and they served the rising 3rd through 5th grade. Okay. Social emotional learning, this was a highlight because they were also provided with the art therapy and the therapists that were here for the circles. The high school we had at Cunha. This is, and one of the classes was at Pilarcitos. So we had 4 ingenuity or credit recovery teachers, PE, biology. Our PE this year was a little tricky because we had such limited space, and so a lot of it was at the beach, which was nice. Okay. We did have some algebra live courses. There were 4 live courses. Biology, the algebra was both semesters, PE and then the rising freshmen. The ingenuity, we had the 132 students make up a total of 595 credits. And there were 70 more credits with the extended summer. So it equals 119 total semester of classes. This, because it says here at the bottom, they had 35 students with an extension program, but they did end up completing 70 more credits. So this is a video. I don't know if it'll play. I know last year it did. Will it or no? Do you want to go back? Or am I going the wrong way?
We will make sure that it's posted to our
Okay,
website and send it out to the
that's
board
fine.
members.
Yeah, because we do have the limit time. I'm sorry. So we had ELOPE on site at Hatch. There were 50 scholars served. And in addition, they had educational excursions, and it met with, Rosalva's program. And her son helped in our class at our site too. And front desk, which was great. Okay. So they had a carnival main day. And now we have questions.
Okay, I'm going to ask, go back, could you play one of those videos for us?
Okay.
Oh, so it doesn't automatically play? Okay. Well, I just wanted to say, one, it's amazing, the breadth and depth of offerings, and thank you for executing such a fabulous program, all 3 of you. And since this was the second time and people are feeling worried about the time, once you breathe, that 7 to 10 minute window is, you can cover a lot of information. So thank you for your patience and perseverance with setting an example. Are there specific questions about our summertime program?
I want you to know, I know you went through those fast, but I read them all.
Okay.
I looked at everything and I was super impressed. And I was actually going to send that out to some people that are curious about what's going on in the school district because I thought it was so good. I had a question about the PE program. It just seemed funny, algebra, biology, and then PE. I'm curious how many kids is it a big group of kids that are failing PE? And how are they not passing it at school? But they are passing it in the summer, and does it have to do with the actual competencies of doing it? I'm curious about that one.
I think when it started, it was in, or when I remember a larger number with PE issues, was all during COVID. And so 2 years ago, 2022, there were just in PE 24 students. And this year and last year, there's only been 9. So it's significantly less between the passing ratio.
So I actually happened to observe summer school multiple times.
Yeah.
And I just want to commend those 3 leaders right there, Victor and Debbie and Brenda. They did a phenomenal job. But I actually happened to go out and observe PE, and I asked them, like, why are you here for PE? Like summer school, like what? And a lot of it was not dressing out, so missing points, and a lot of it was just lack of motivation. So we had a phenomenal PE teacher, and I'm so sorry I don't remember his name.
Justin Jew, and he's one of our district employees.
Yes.
He was fantastic.
He was phenomenal. Like, I felt so out of shape, and like I felt like I wanted to run with him, but he had those kids so motivated and inspired. So sometimes it's just, you know, every kid is very different and needs their own time, but I saw kids.
Smaller group, maybe,
Yeah, it was
too.
a smaller group, and they did a phenomenal job.
Well, I'm grateful that I know we do have some grant funding to cover much of the program now. I don't know, I think maybe that might be changing in the future. But to that point too, I think it's just amazing how much you did for 545 students, the diversity with the field trips and the partnerships. Again, that theme is coming through, the partnerships with Boys and Girls Club, the partnerships with Big Lift, and with each other, and with Jennifer, and Amber, and everybody. I think that's the challenge, is especially when funding starts to get a little bit lighter, how do we not only not look to, this is a more remediative need, I guess, like, but it would be great to work with partners to have them just do fun things all day, right? How do we continue to work together to reduce the number of kids failing PE to start with, so they don't have to come back and do PE over the summer? Like, it's only 9 kids, but it doesn't feel good for them, right? And it didn't feel good for them to fail in the start. So, you know, as opposed to some of the more fun stuff where, you know, they could just do the fun parts all day. Like, I don't think most kids would probably have a problem with that. So I guess that would be knowing that coming on the horizon is maybe some more budgetary pressures on summer school, is how do we maybe reduce the need for summer school? Not big. I say that knowing it's an incredible program, but we also don't have a lot of money. So
Agreed.
if that makes sense. But, and I'm thrilled to hear, Victor, I didn't know about your background in STEM and being able to pull in some of those elements into the core curriculum. I think that's a little bit of how you do it, right? Like, you get them inspired and excited to be in school by doing the fun stuff like that, and integrating it, you know, with the vegetables, if you will. So it's great to hear, like, for you, I didn't know a lot about your background, that you have that competence, so you can definitely get the middle school stuff covered together with your team here. So making those, again, as Amber, you said earlier, this something I think that's also a continuous theme, is that idea of continuous improvement. So we kind of like test a little bit what you want to do in summer school, and then you say, okay, well, we may or may not be able to afford to do what we're doing it the way we're doing it. I don't know. I'm just saying that, but how can we start to pull that in to what we're doing in the core? Debbie, you know, and I have talked about the model that you have at Kings Mountain. Similarly, you have a model where you have classes with kindergarten and first graders together, split classes, right? So as our schools become smaller, because enrollment is declining here and elsewhere, I think we do need to look around and say, well, how are other people doing this? How are we handling this? How do we prevent kids failing classes for maybe reasons that aren't necessarily tied to their competency in that subject area? How do we deal with fewer kids and needing to still staff efficiently? All right, well, Kings Mountain's exemplary program running split classes. We can learn from you on that. So I just appreciate that, and appreciate having the visibility for us, for the community, hopefully for one another as staff, to see what's going on and where you know, people can learn from each other.
Yo nada más rápidamente quiero decir, la maestra y también directora Debbie Silvera siempre ha hecho un muy buen trabajo para cada año tener el programa, y sé que tiene mucha experiencia, pero muchas gracias a los dos por también estar aquí presentes este verano. Es muy importante porque, como hemos escuchado de la presentación anterior de Prisco, tener a los padres sentirse involucrados y poder sentirse como que pueden ir con alguien y alguien va a poder platicar con ellos, aunque sea una duda, una pregunta. Muchísimas gracias, eso es tan importante, y estás haciendo un muy buen trabajo, Víctor. Muchas gracias y felicidades por tu papel de vicedirector para este año que viene. Muchas felicidades. No creo que necesites que te dé ánimo, porque yo sé que vas a hacer un muy buen trabajo. Y Brenda, igual, muchas gracias por toda la dedicación de ser un estudiante a ser una maestra de este distrito. Muchísimas gracias. I just wanted to say I acknowledge Debbie Silvera and the great work she does putting together this summer school program. I contest as a parent having my child there, so thank you so much. But I think I just want to thank both of you for being there and cooperating and just being part of this, because more than half of the kids are ELL students, and just having the parents, like we heard in the presentation before, parent participation and just parent involvement is so important. And when a parent can feel like they can go ask a simple question like what time is lunch and whatnot, it's very empowering. So thank you for doing this. I hope you guys do this for 100 more years more. But thank you guys. And Brenda, you're an amazing teacher. You are an amazing, you were a student and now you're an amazing teacher. So thank you for giving back to the district. And Victor, you've done such a great job, and congratulations on your new position for next school year. You won't need much luck because I think you're just gonna I think you've done a great job. So thank you for everything, and thank you for supporting Debbie, who's already doing a fabulous job, but just having that Spanish speaking kind of presence and just involved. I mean, thank you guys. Thank you for everything.
Yeah, again, our strategic plan, I think your work really does fit in with our equity focus again, right? These are the kids that need different kinds of support because of their special educational needs or because their language needs or whatever it might be. Their mental health needs, right? If you're not motivated to go to class, it give you a little bit of a boost so you get out the door. And also with the whole child, just having that approach of just not just like making them do the class. I mean, okay, the Ingenuity kids probably had to just do the class. But for the other ones, they got to have a little bit of something fun and a little bit of carrot, I think is awesome.
I just wanted to point out a couple things I had in my notes because I can't get stuff. It's just scrolling. I wanted to point out a couple things. I know you went through things fast, but I wanted to point out a couple things that stood out to me. One was the Cunha math stuff, the survey results. This increased 18%. By 18%, I know a lot about math. 11%, I can learn new things about math. And 33% like to go to school. I mean, some of the stats in there are staggering. I also wanted to congratulate you on the partnerships. I thought that was a big deal. We have a lot of people that want to help us, and they don't know what to do to help us, and this is a way they can work for these. I can't look at it, it's still scrolling. But I'm so glad we're reaching out and getting those partnerships, and why not? They want to help, we need help, let's do it. So I thought that was great. The algebra adjustment, where you had some info in there in the high school kids that they were having problems, and one kid was, and you might do the classes differently, and you changed it on the fly. Like, I love that. You are making it work for them for, where they are.
The struggle with that is the Ingenuity, the credit recovery, they're trying their best.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and
They
if it's
need
not
a live teacher, a live coach to help. And
so it's
that
so
was
nice
the adjustment. And
you could pivot and help, and
that's
instead of
why.
just making them miserable and fail again, So, and then the last thing I wanted to bring up was there's something in there about grade improvements, not just credit recovery. Can you speak a little bit to that? Were there kids there to improve their grades?
Some of them were. Some of them had D's, and so then they come up to like a B.
So if they had a D, they could be.
They could retake the test, do credit recovery, and then improve their grade.
Oh, that's great, because I'm not sure that was an option previous years.
I'm not sure either.
I don't remember either, because I remember. Okay.
Oh, yeah. That's okay.
What happened in the past? In the past, when I had enough license for students to enroll, so basically a lot goes to Lisette. Yeah. She monitors every single student progress. As soon as someone is finished with a B or better or 80 or 90%, then she closes that account and then enrolls a waitlist student that wants to improve. Yeah. And you can clarify that, but I think at least for 4 students that we recommended, that's how they improve the A through the G requirements.
That's really awesome, because it's just a little bit of an administrative thing that allows a kid to basically flip a D to a A to G approvable course and then CSU, UC opens up to them.
And so those kids started a little bit later? That's how that happened?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. And then there's a wait list. I assume you didn't get to everyone, but there's still a huge need for that, I assume.
Everybody who wanted to be served was served, I
Really?
believe.
And probably some opportunity, if people
To
knew about it, they could
extend-
do it to extend it.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. 'Cause
Pat Olson allowed that.
Yeah,
They
that's
allowed
great.
it. If they didn't finish in time, there was an extension
Now,
provided.
I'm curious about that too, because would there have been a bigger wait list maybe if people would have known? So, I mean,
if people,
I can
counselors are
tell
the-
you an example offline, but I wonder if there would be.
I don't
because
know.
I know some kids got kind of skipped by counselors. So anyway,
Oh.
that'd be
I have a question.
interesting.
Did the fact that we had to re-enroll a kid, is that because we didn't have enough license? Is that a money issue?
Yeah, the Edgenuity program, the way that it works, it only has so many licenses for kids to be able to use it at one time. So the district would have to put more money in to allow additional students. But I did just want to clarify a point here because I think it's really important on the equity piece. Is that the Half Moon Bay High School does have a section dedicated to this. I have, as a secondary practitioner, I have a lot of experience with Edgenuity, and I've seen it really shift outcomes for students exactly as you said. So absolutely, Superintendent Lealva, that's exactly right. So we only have an X number of licenses, and because of that, we have this rolling.
Okay, so I believe in unlimited possibilities, and I just had dinner last night with our Edgenuity vendor because the company contributed money to our leadership retreat. So of course I wanted to say thank you. And if it's a matter of money, if it's for kids, we will work together
But
to find the
also-
money to make it work for kids.
Isn't it also, you can only have so many kids per teacher? You still have to staff
Yes.
per
Yes.
teacher,
Yes,
you know.
yes,
per-
but then we'll recruit and hire more. I mean, we've got to, by need, we've got to meet our kids where their needs are. And
Well,
if that's the need.
And going back to this D thing, I'm pretty sure if every kid knew at the high school that they could retake a class for the D they got, I bet you there would be a
we'd see our
line
A to G
out
go
the-
up. So I know this is a little bit of a
Don't.
tangent, but it's because we've been,
That's my thing, A to
yeah,
G. So
exactly.
don't-
So maybe it's a future conversation around A to G, improving
I
our A to G.
agree, I'm getting off
results, 'cause this could be-
the thing, but
No,
I just
no,
wanted
I
to
didn't mean
raise
that
it.
in a bad way. I meant that as I'm going to forget later. So a future agenda item, maybe something around A to G, and maybe not exactly that. And I know last time we had identified student outcomes as being a priority for future presentations.
No, I appreciate
too.
that because we do need to talk about A through G. Yeah.
But
But
I-
it cannot just be brushed under the rug.
Yeah.
But future agenda item.
Thank you for sparking the conversation on that side note.
And I think the other part of that, at least from the students that I had to refer, is that they were assigned a class during the year. So they were in the program Ingenuity, so they had 7 classes. So it's a lot, it's overwhelming. Kids get disengaged, disconnected, and then summer school comes and they were just waitlisted. I think there's meet me in the middle, yeah, maybe more licenses, but I mean, maybe a closer eye on during the school year and why you're not really logging in, why you're not creating any work. So both ends, I think, can be adjusted a little bit.
Amazing, thank you.
Just food for thought. All of our field trips they provided transportation. They were buses, so the amount of family chaperones was incredible. Lots of families who can't drive, don't own a car, don't know how to turn in the insurance and all that stuff. So if that's something we could work out during the year, would be great. As a kindergarten teacher, we're always looking for grants to provide buses for our students and their families, and it's really hard. So just food for thought. From the county, the big lift. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, no, the county, yeah. The Big Lift got first student buses, and I didn't know, but they have 3 seatbelts on each seat. They're usually the least expensive to get. But they got them early in the year. That's how they were able to do it. Like, I think February, she secured them.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the presentation. That brings us to item 4C, staffing update.
Good evening, Superintendent Lealva, members of the community, folks who are here this evening, and board members and district staff. So I just wanted to provide an overview of kind of where we are at the beginning of the year with the challenges with respect to staffing. But actually, I'm going to take 1 minute of my 7 minutes, and I'm going to get this down shorter than 7, but I'm going to take 1 minute to just do some shout outs and some appreciations. You know, as I'm sitting here this evening and I'm just thinking about our staff and all these wonderful things that are happening for kids, and they couldn't happen without our staff. And, you know, I just really want to acknowledge that. And I want to say that, you know, for the HR team, it's a really small team. And to run a program like Big Lift, everyone says, oh, how was your summer? And I'm like, yeah, I'm running like Speedy Gonzalez. I'm kissing, you know, we're just really busy. And, you know, every single one of those practitioners who serve our kids over the summer have a contract, and those, they all have to be onboarded and offboarded. And there's just a tremendous amount of work that happens on the back end. And Fabiola and Jackie and Steve and Mike and Andrea and payroll, and just all Jennifer and her team working on the budget stuff for that. I mean, it's a lot of work that goes into it. And our, you know, our custodians and our office staff. And I want to say that we've made great progress. When I first joined the district, we were not compliant with the contract bargaining agreement for our CSEA partners, and we are now with respect to summer school hiring. And following the contract wasn't a thing, and it really is a thing because I personally train all those leaders. And I just really want to thank Brenda De Jesus and Diana Garcia, because when Hatch was going through the difficulty this summer, they jumped online with me and we interviewed folks, along with the new assistant principal, Paige Richards, who's all kind of phenomenal. So that dedication is just outstanding. I also wanted to recognize, you know, Victor Guzman. It's been such a pleasure watching his leadership journey here in the district, and I really want him to become superintendent someday. So please don't leave us, Superintendent Lealva. He's got a lot of learning to do. I also wanted to elevate and recognize that Jeff and Victor argued, you know, pretty forcefully about the need to do that math and that recovery class for those kids, and really on that equity lens. And you've got Miley Springer and Lizeth Bendanya, who have just been summer school leaders par extraordinaire. And those programs couldn't happen. And these are programs that I'm passionate about because they do create equitable outcomes for kids, and they will drive that opportunity for our students to be able to be A through G ready and be able to get their FAFSA and their DREAM Act applications filled out and be able to have that money that they're qualified for in order to attend school, because that is what we are all, every single member of this community who are here in our schools, invested in and dedicating our lives and our time to. So without further ado, I just want to give you, next slide please, a quick overview of kind of where we are. So it's been a really challenging hiring season. So over the spring of 2024, we had 19 certificated staff members who announced their departure from the district, including 2 counselors and 17 teachers. It was particularly painful for me at the San Mateo County Office of Education, introducing our fabulous high school counselor to her new district. And I know that, you know, I wish them well, and they're so lucky to have her. The breakdown of teacher departures included 2 due to non-reelection, 3 retirements, and 12 resignations, and that's a lot. And we hear our teachers talking about that, and that is really hard. These changes really do reflect a significant shift in our staffing, and they do present challenges to ensuring that every student is met by a highly qualified educator. And so really, here we are, we have folks who are leaving, and I just really want to ask for, it is my hope that, you know, we are going to partner so that we learn earlier in the hiring cycle when folks have selected another district, because it really does make a difference. If I find out in February, March, April, May that somebody's been accepted and signed a contract somewhere else, then I can fill that vacancy. But when you get to the last week in June, it becomes exceptionally challenging. So we really do hope that we can move forward with that. So you'll notice that between April and early June, the district successfully conducted recruitment efforts. We hired so many new staff members. We really felt good about where we were at in terms of enhancing our team and ensuring that we'd be well equipped to meet the needs of our students and community. We did have several 11th hour resignations, and some of those were unavoidable, and that's really true. And I want to be compassionate and clear about that as well. We did have 7 teachers who did resign on or thereabout on June 29th or June 30th. And, you know, this presented us with a real staggering challenge to ensuring that every student would be met by a dedicated teacher at the open of school. So there is a well-documented teacher shortage in California, and it really makes clear that staffing needs have to be met prior to the summer months. So if we could go to the next slide, please. So at Hatch Elementary School, we lost 3 Spanish immersion teachers. They all resigned on the same day. It was tragic. Efforts are underway to bring aboard 3 Spanish immersion teachers from Spain. We anticipate they will arrive in late August or early September. I'm working with the H-1Bs. We're working on their visas, and I talked to the lawyers again yesterday about skipping the line at the embassies and the consulate so that we can get them here quicker. I actually wrote a letter for one of our teachers who's in Colombia to the U.S. consulate in Colombia to hope that they can expedite her visa processing time. We do have 3 dedicated long-term substitute teachers. They've been assigned to those classes while we await the arrival of these new teachers from Spain, and we're thrilled that they're coming. We also had a couple of elementary school teachers who resigned on that last week. We were able to recruit and hire a local teacher to fill one position, and actually just this week, last week, just this week on Monday, we hired the second one. So this is really exciting, and we're really, really happy. We do have more work underway to determine staffing ratios with respect to our fiscal stabilization plan and ensuring that our ratios are not too far off. So that's kind of where we're at. And then at Cunha, next slide, please. At Cunha Intermediate School, we also lost a Spanish immersion teacher. She resigned also 11th hour. I mean, she got a job 4 blocks from her house at a dream school. And she, you know, those things happen. That could not have been avoided. And we also have someone coming in from Spain who is a former Hatch Amity scholar, and she also is in the process of coming over. The current Spanish embassy wait times for a visa appointment is 25 days. 3 weeks ago, it was 3 days. So it's constantly shifting, and I'm in constant communication with the attorneys who are helping us with this. At Half Moon Bay High School, again, we had an English teacher resign on June 30th. I mean, he took his dream job at a private school that was close to his home, and we're really going to miss him. And, you know, he came to the district office. He had a meeting with me. He was just really, it was a hard decision, and, you know, we really wish him well. We are so thrilled that our partnership with Notre Dame and Nemours University is ensuring that we were able to hire a dedicated local, she's got kids who are at Half Moon Bay High School and El Granada, teacher to staff that class, and she's nearly finished completing her credential. And so that's where we're at across the district with hiring. And I wanted to know if any of you all had any questions.
I just want to comment that today we had our new teacher luncheon organized by Bianca, and I was so impressed with the number of new hires that went through our school system. I think that says a lot about our district when you go to school here and you want to come back and work here.
Thank you for all of your due diligence and attention to detail in picking up these hires.
Oh, real quick question. How many more openings do we still have, or are they covered now?
None. We just need to get folks here. So we're going to have to hang on, and you know, some folks, we're going to do a little bit of reassignment for some of our TOSAs, and we hate to do that because we know how valuable those services are. One of the TOSAs already went to the principal, to Dr. Waggle, and said, hey, I want to cover on this class because somebody who, you know, got a situation, they're going to be here a couple days later. So we just have to hang on to our hats. Fabiola is truly phenomenal. I don't know what we would do without her. Frankly, I give her all the credit for this organization, for this fabulous luncheon with our Rotary Club partners today. But honestly, like, I don't know what we would do without fabulous Fabiola, because she works so hard on behalf of every student and every family in this district. And she's a mother in our district, and she's a tremendous practitioner. She's one of the best hires I've ever made in my life.
So the reason that Bianca is calling out Fabiola is because we are starting the school year with some long-term substitutes until we get those positions filled. So we're waiting on some people to get here, waiting on some credentials to clear, but we are starting the year with some substitutes. So I want to just be really transparent.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that too, because I saw it was like 4, 3 or 4, starting with long-term subs.
Well, we have 4, but then we also, maybe 5. We're figuring it out right
So
now.
4 or
Mhm,
5.
4 or 5.
Because if I think about, we have what, like 150 teachers?
Yeah, well, 151 as of, no, 148 as a couple days ago, 151 as of today.
Okay, so I'm not sure if and when that was provided to the fact finder, to the earlier comment, but that's a side note, because it would seem, I don't know how that wasn't at the top of your head all the time.
I very much appreciate you
Yeah, it's
saying
like-
that, Sophia,
so I was
because the
curious-
thing about this is that the data that we provide is a snapshot in time, and the
Yes.
snapshot in time changes week to
moment
week,
by moment.
moment to
Yeah.
moment, day to day, and month to month. And that's just the reality of it.
Because if I divide 4 into 150, let's call it, that's 3%, and I just want to notice that, okay, those are 3% out of the all the classroom positions, right? Or 3% of all the positions. And to just say for context, like that's a really low number. Because like if you look, there was even just today or yesterday.
I'll give you some context.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
I saw this, an article, it was about workforce housing, but I thought it was really interesting, and it's talking about Jefferson Union High School
Yes.
District.
Yes.
They used to lose a quarter of its staff every year, and I think 12 and 150 divided by the 12 we lost,
Well,
it's like 10%-ish.
17 divided by 150 is
Well,
11%.
Okay.
Lost versus opening positions at the beginning of the
I
year are
mean,
two
some of them
different
didn't
things.
quit, some of them we let go, but I don't
But
know if you
doesn't
count
matter.
those or not.
Yeah.
Okay, count them. So they were losing
you
a
did.
quarter of its staff every year, which meant it began every school year scrambling to fill vacancies. That changed in 2022 when they developed affordable housing. The district built 122 units, now fully occupied by 25% of the district staff. Board member Andy Lee said the district is beginning the new school year with 0 vacancies, a transformation he calls remarkable and unheard of in public education. And then it goes on. But that's coming too. I mean, I wanted to share that fact with you. I mean, that might make it easier for you. We're running a bond. We don't know if it'll pass. And it also will pay for fixing the high school and putting on solar panels and fixing the fields and lots of things. And that could be an option if the board so decides to do that in the future. But anyway, I thought that was an interesting fact.
Yes, I guess it's the two things that I look at in terms of comparables, in terms of other districts. One is what your annual turnover rate is, which is basically how many people you lose. If this was like an exceptionally high year, and 17 people out of 150 is about 11%, compared to I don't know if this is the same data, but I know Jefferson Elementary was losing like 18% normally. That's
and this was a
pretty
big
good.
year for us.
That's what I'm saying. This is an exceptional year. But also then the second data point is when you're starting the year, what's your vacancy rate? And with even four, and I know one of those long-term subs, at least, I don't know Fabiola, but some of them are actually really amazing instructors, even though they are long-term subs and they don't have full credentials. They're pretty amazing people. So compare that 4 out of 150 is about 3%, and Carmen probably knows very well other districts. San Francisco Unified is notorious for having vacancy rates at the start of the year upwards of 25%. So 3% when you had several resignations on June 29th, which I find kind of weird. Can you explain why June 29th?
So June 30th by Ed Code, if you're a teacher and you haven't notified your district before June 30th, then the district will notify the CTC that you are an educator in poor standing, that you have abandoned your students, and that you've basically, they can pull your credential, they can revoke your credential, they can, it's a thing. And some years, some people say, oh, the CTC won't do anything about it. But we saw the CTC make a pendulum swing with respect to employee discipline, from going to do nothing to about anything to all of a sudden being super strict even on things like that. So it is definitely a report to the CTC, and people do put their credentials at risk if they choose to leave after that date. And the other thing is that in this county, you know, if somebody's going to go after that date, I'm going to get a phone call or a text from that HR leader, and they're going to tell me like, hey, what's the situation here? And they will not hire that person because the county HR leaders know each other and we all work together and support each other.
And so they were all within a day of that date then?
I beg your pardon?
They were all within a day of that date?
7.
Yeah, they were all within a day of that date. And, you know, that's where I just really want to have this kind of reflective conversation, because I understand that some of these are unavoidable, but there are definitely some that are avoidable. And when when somebody's been board approved in another district, but they don't let you know until really late, it's a real painful place for all of us. And I'd like to, really heal those relationships and get ourselves to a place where that kind of stuff doesn't happen, but where we're really collaborating and partnering, because really we are here to serve the community.
I have another question, Bianca. Like, I hear a lot of buzz about people taking jobs over the hill, because people's life circumstances change, as Mary Beth kind of suggested. Some of the departures aren't intentional non-reelection by the district that are decided in that way. People have babies, people retire, people move. And I think that's a reality of, regardless if you're on the coast side or you're in San Mateo or Burlingame or even Woodside, it's people move, right, out of the Bay Area. Do you have a sense, and it doesn't mean exact numbers, but like proportionately, like how many people that, like, especially that live here, are going over the hill as opposed to living in San Mateo, getting a job down the street? Like, that's like a no-brainer, right?
So out of the folks who have left us, I know for a fact that 2 of them went to San Mateo, Foster City. I was texted. I talk to that person all the time. One of my phone of friends, the superintendent, suggests that we all have, so that we can reduce our reliance on legal fees and contractors, so that we can get support, so that we can have more money on our bottom line for things that really matter, like supporting our kids and our staff. Thank you, Superintendent Lealva. I appreciate that guidance. I'm learning a lot. So yeah, I mean, and then of course I introduce people to their new employers sometimes at the job fair. But aside from like 3 people who I know for sure in the county, everyone else is not within the San Mateo County 13 districts here.
3
No,
out of
everybody
17.
else is further. And most of the folks, moved, or there's a couple privates, and those we don't hear about. But yeah, so for the most part, folks have gone a little further. We had a Half Moon Bay High School teacher, for example, who was commuting here for a long commute from Santa Cruz, and was looking for a job there for a long time, and found the job in Santa Cruz, and was, really excited to do that. And of course, we really want to support that person on their journey, and we really wish them well. And we're excited to be doing some staff changes to be able to fully staff our ag program and support our practitioners here internally to grow their practices, even though we have to do some provisional permitting in order to make stuff like that happen. We really want to support folks and make sure that we're making the best decisions for the students we serve.
So another question, because I know in previous presentations, I can't remember when, and I think it was you had presented it, that we have a pretty good representation of our administrators with regards to the ethnic demographics of our student population, but we still were disproportionately white for our teaching staff. With this new crop of teachers, do you feel like there is maybe some progress made there, or still same pipeline, same?
Honestly,
results?
until the credential programs put out the students who we need, until we really have the capacity, and again, this is where I really hope this healing takes place, because one of the things I want to do is develop a grow your own program. I mean, I wrote a recruitment and retention plan in the first couple months of my employment here. I'd really love to have a little time to work on that. Beyond just the relentless focus. I mean, to staff I've been on WhatsApp since 5:30 this morning with people from Spain. And that's been true every single day. Everybody's got questions, and it really is that hand holding. It's that we are in a teacher shortage, and that is the reality. And so you have to be aggressive, and you have to be dedicated, and you have to be on point in order to staff your classrooms right now in HR. Like the HR, I was at an HR leader meeting a couple days ago over Zoom and talking about the landscape and how HR has become such a difficult, it's always been a difficult world to navigate. And I find it wild that I'm here because I was a teacher for 17 years and love teaching. And like Superintendent Lealva, call me up, I will come, I will hang out with your kids. I would love to be in your classroom. And I enjoy, favorite part of my job is walking the halls, being with kids, and seeing the good things that are going on in classrooms. But you know, it's really hard. I'm not gonna, I don't want to sugarcoat it because it's really hard. It's really, really hard. It's a grind. It's a real grind. It's constant churning. But I love it because I get to meet all these really cool people and tell them all how special this community is.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I'm going to see if we can get one more presentation in before we do a bio break, and then, or do we want? I'm looking. Okay, I'm seeing some faces. Let's do our bio break and give us.
I need a break.
Yes. Yeah. We're going to do it. Yeah, we'll take 7 minutes and we'll be back.
Wait, we can do it. I will take notes for Rosie.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
You can go. We can do it.
All right.
I will
We'll
take
do
notes.
it. Then we'll
Okay.
take a break after.
Thank you.
So up next is our CUSD fiscal update.
Okay, I'll be quick. Okay, so our fiscal update tonight, I really wanted to start by updating on my first 8 weeks as a CBO, and kind of highlighting a few areas. And so in our business department, we welcomed Estefania Alvarez as a fiscal coordinator and Anna Martinez as account tech 2, and including myself, the staff is all being trained in our new positions and settling in, and it's been fun. Also, Drew Gamet and I have met in small groups with CUTA labor partners twice to review and analyze any requested financial reports that they've requested. Beginning the process of reviewing or updating facility use MOUs with community partners, currently working with Mavericks and Half Moon Bay Girls Softball. Completed the 23-24 bond audit just this week on Monday. And we're continuing the year-end process of closing our books for 23-24. We'll be presenting unaudited actuals at the September board meeting. Probably 2-3 more weeks of doing that. I've also had meetings with the Bond Oversight Committee and Budget Advisory Committee. And Bond Oversight.
What was that last thing?
Our meetings with the Bond Oversight Committee.
Thank you.
And Budget Advisory Committee. So, the board has asked for an update on the FICMAT 3 key themes that contributed to the challenges faced by CUSD from our October 2023 report. Number 1 was over-reliance on a consultant for financial reporting. And I'm happy to say that I've been preparing all the standardized account code structure, the SACS forms, including the multi-year projections. And being closely involved in this preparation of financial reports allows for improvement of information for decision-making. And number 2, lack of position control system was another key theme. And our staff is utilizing the position control module available in the financial system to monitor the number of employees, track vacant positions, and project associated costs. And we have a plan to distribute staff lists to departments and site principals for verification. It's just another check step. And a position control report can be presented to the board at a future meeting. Number 3 was the non-standard budget development process, which we've heard a lot about. So staff is attending training sessions for the implementation of the new financial system maintained by SMCOE. We're really at the beginning stages of this training. Some of Bianca's staff has been attending, payroll has been attending, and some of our purchasing. But we have not we're really at the beginning stages, so we don't have a budget development system in place yet using that system. But the system will be utilized in the 25-26 budget development in the spring of 2025. And an analysis of the 24-25 budget assumptions will take place at the next Budget Advisory Committee meeting, and recommendations will be brought to the board. And that is because your budget is only as good as your assumptions. And so I really want to use that committee to work on assumptions at our next meeting. And another thing that we'll be doing regarding number 3 is we're also building the budget development calendar, which I can share at a future meeting. Another area that I plan on updating you using this report at future meetings is anytime that we are able to flip a no to a yes on our FCMAT report. So I promise it's on my desk. I'm trying to use it as a Bible and a guide. And so, for example, we were able to do factor 9.3. That factor stated, the question was, and the answer was no. Has the district followed a policy or collectively bargained agreement to limit accrued vacation balances? The answer was no at the time of the report, but since then, we are following the CSEA contract, and accrued vacation as of June 30th, 2024, in excess of 1 year's entitlement, but no more than 200 hours, was paid out to employees. And the cost of that to the district was $141,769.46. So I'm happy to keep reporting, and anytime we can turn a no to a yes and change those factors. Definitely, I will continue to report that in this, along with any other information that's relevant to our budget development. And that's all I have for tonight.
I just want to commend Jennifer and her department. This FCMAT report came out in October of 2023, and it dictated to us that we provide a plan for every no response. That was October 2023. Nothing was done. It's now August of 2024. And under Jennifer's leadership and her department's leadership, we are now taking the recommendations, actually the dictates, because we had a 2020 and a 2023 FCMAT report. We are now following the recommendations / dictations from FCMAT, and we are making sure that we are being financially responsible. So I just want to really commend Jennifer. This should have been done a long time ago.
Thank you so much. And I don't want to necessarily burden that you're reporting, but any highlights or any feedback from the Budget Advisory Committee that you thought was insightful?
Do you remember what? I know it was a really good conversation. Amber attended that meeting, and it was a really good conversation about what they would like as part of this committee.
I think the overall theme was transparency. Am I correct in that? Transparency and communication.
And I think they did ask for, they want their recommendations, they want to be able to give recommendations and have them reported to you. And
maybe that's something that minutes could, like highlights of, I mean, not everything, and I do understand this is an advisory committee, and that everything that's asked isn't necessarily automatically implemented. I get that, but it would help for the whole board to understand what some of the thought process is. So maybe you could ask somebody in the room to take minutes.
Well, doesn't Holly take minutes?
Yes.
And we publish those minutes. They're on the website.
Oh, okay.
Perhaps I can do a better job of circulating them to the community.
Yeah, hey, this happened, even in the weekly, here's the link to find it.
No,
Yeah,
and I've
that'd be
noticed
great.
that's been a kind of a trend, is that we publish things to the website, but we don't let people know that it's there. So I will work with my staff to do a better job of sending out an all message to everyone saying, here's a link to the negotiations update. Here's a link to the Budget Advisory Committee. Definitely always room for improvement. Cycle of continuous learning and improvement.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Also, as we were exploring new platforms for the agenda platform, we were also thinking of incorporating committees to that same platform, so everything is there, agendas, minutes. So if you're looking for an agenda, it's there. But I don't know yet. We'll need to wait probably until January.
I just want to say a huge thank you, Jennifer, for pulling this together. I think I am really glad that you're kind of taking the bull by the horns on this. And I would, for one, would definitely appreciate like a monthly report, even if like not much changes. If you just have it in there, say some movement on this, you don't have to go into detail that you did today because it was like the first time. And then plus the ones that flip, like it's good to be able to monitor and track the process in writing. This is super clear. And I think just kind of keeping on to it, because eventually we're going to say, yay, it's totally done, right? Like number one is done.
Yes, that's the plan.
So number one, big check mark, done. Number two is, number 2 and 3 are in process, and, the rest, I'd have to look at the other factors, but probably some other ones flip to no to yes or whatever by now too, I think.
Yes. So
Yeah.
these were the 3 key themes that contributed to the challenges, and then there was the whole list of the 20 factors, and then the sub-questions that contributed to those factors. So there's quite a few yeses and nos, but I definitely plan on highlighting those.
So what we're referring to is the FICMET report that came out in October of 2023, and that can be found
Online.
on
our website.
Somewhere. We will work on that.
We'll work on the website. Last item, because I forgot to comment. I'm making the assumption that the conversations that you and Mr. Gamet had with our CUTA negotiating team, that was not just a matter of presenting them information, but insightful and helpful in learning what the questions are. And it's not my business being in the weeds on that piece right there, but
No, absolutely. It was
yeah.
a very interactive process. They had some questions. I provided them with some reports. I provided actually some of the same to CSEA, even though they were not asking. And it was great. It was actually a really very good, productive conversation. We agreed to meet again a second time. Again, I provided them with more information, and another really good, productive conversation was had.
Thanks, because I think that sometimes, and this is the commentary piece, sometimes there's as much learning and building a relationship and hearing the questions as it is the actual answer. So I appreciate our new CBO and leaders, CBO team in really engaging in a different way. So thank you.
And again, I always strive to be open and transparent, and I've had some key teacher leaders reach out to me, and I met today with a lead teacher on our negotiating team and went to her classroom and had a really frank, honest conversation about the budget and about where our stance is. So it's really about continuing the conversation and being open to listening, as you said, Kim, to the questions.
Thank you so much. Can I move that we have a bio break? We're going to get a break to go to the restroom.
It's coast side lingo. No.
Do I have a second?
I'm on the
coast now.
I
seconded it.
Thank you. On favor, please say aye.
Aye. Thanks.
You just report from your seat. This is not a presentation yet.
So as you can see, we reached an agreement with CSEA, and it is attached. And so they already took it to their committee for their 610 process. And we're just looking for board approval. So staff recommends approval from the board.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Before we do the motion, I just want to point out that there was a small revision to the salary schedule, so you have the updated schedule on your seats, and there's also the updated schedule on the back. And we will update this tomorrow to the agenda.
And I also just want to point out that CSEA has a, what's called a Me Too clause. So since we have not settled with our teachers union, if we do settle with them, and let's say perhaps it's more, then they also would get that Me Too. But that would come back to the board for approval, because everything is always pending board approval.
Two questions. One, what were the changes on here? Like,
We gotta approve it first.
oh, motion to approve.
Yeah. In a second?
Go ahead.
Seconded. Thank you. Questions?
Yeah, what were, like, qualitatively, what were the changes on the salary schedule?
So when the CBO reviewed the work for the updating of the salary schedule, along with Drew, they both reviewed the work and realized that some of the calculations were off and needed to be amended.
Okay, so off by like less than $1 each, like just a few dollars?
I'll let Jennifer speak to that.
I just want to know if it's any like major differences between what was there before. And if you want to just say no substantive differences, like that's all.
Well,
I'm
I mean,
fine
I
with
think
that.
the answer to that is both.
Yeah.
There was, some of them were off by less than $1, some,
A few
as we got
dollars.
farther down into the salary schedule, were off by much more.
Okay.
It's sort of a ripple effect.
Yeah,
So
'cause it comes
there's a
pounds.
formula that
Yeah.
goes down, so it's going, it's
Just
just
builds on one
applies.
or the other. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Maybe we could just have like a 30 seconds to glance at it, just because if there were changes that are substantial, we should at least have a minute to look. Let's do that, and then I'll ask my next question, Ms. Glantz.
So for CSEA, the first column is what has the 4% increase, and then between steps is 6%. So that's how it's calculated.
Say that again, Rosie?
So it's 4% applied to the first step, or step, yes, and then from between steps is 6%.
From here to here? Okay, yeah.
I'm sorry, steps are the columns.
Okay. Are the rows, yeah. Yeah, so 6 step and column.
Column
is
is 6%.
And columns.
Yeah, the steps are the
Steps.
rows.
So steps are down.
Yeah.
And columns are across.
Yeah, yeah. Columns are columns, yeah. My question for Jennifer then is, and I kind of like spoke this a little bit earlier in my comments too, like timing wise, if we approve this tonight, when do people get the money in their pockets?
So I would have to check the payroll calendar. There's obviously a lot of work that goes into to
Yeah,
paying out a
that's
retro.
announcement, yeah.
I don't want to commit to anything that's
Yeah.
not, that's really not doable.
Yeah.
I would say at the earliest.
I would not actually recommend giving a date right now.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
know that we have a limited staff
Yeah.
that also have to do their normal duties in addition to calculating the retro. So
Yeah.
the answer would be as soon as
soon as you can.
humanly possible.
So maybe
Because
then-
we know, because remember, the people that are also processing this
doing our
are
CSEA,
also
yeah.
CSEA members, so they are
Well, they'll do it anyway.
motivated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could add though that, so there's two parts of this payout.
Yeah.
One will be the retro, which is a much more complicated
Yeah, 'cause it's a rate.
procedure.
Yeah.
And then the other one is the one-time $1,500. That I think we can,
Do pretty quick.
figure out a date and we can get that done first.
Okay, yeah, so maybe just when you do the weekend review, just so we know that it's done, like it'd be nice to, you would probably do it anyway with part of your reporting out, that we know like it's done, then it's not that we doubt that it's gonna be done, but just it'll be nice when it's done and we'll like be happy to see it when it's done.
Of course.
Yeah, they've been waiting a long time.
Yeah,
so
so like
everyone has
I'll
been
be very
waiting.
happy to just see that, okay, great, people have that pay.
So what I'm hearing is direction from the board for Jennifer to report in the week in review when it's actually paid out.
Yes, please. Thank you. And also just a comment to what Holly said earlier about the flexibility, like thank you to staff and the board also for seeing them and their requests for that, because I know all of those 6-hour jobs are effectively full-time, but are just 6 hours because of the school day limitations. So I'm grateful that we could support those employees in that regard too with the one-time payments.
Call the vote.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. This item passes 5+1.
Thank you. That brings us to item 4F, public disclosure of collective bargaining agreement for CSEA.
So this is just a compliance piece that we are required to report to the county. AB 1200 is basically saying that we can afford to give this raise. And so we have to publicly disclose that. And so the attachments are attached and staff recommends approval.
It's just for information.
Oh, thank you.
Any questions? Thank you. That brings us to item 4G, bond program construction update.
And as he's walking up to the podium, I just want to really thank Roger, who's been sitting there very patiently since 6:30.
Learning a lot about our school district.
I also, wait, before you begin, I also want to publicly acknowledge that Vanner Construction has also, they donated to our campaign for our leadership retreat, so, and our board retreat, so thank you.
Roger, I'll advance the slides for you.
All right, okay. Good evening. My name is Roger Ancharch-Shahar. I'm a senior project manager with Vanner Construction Management. Thank you for the opportunity to share the construction update for the bond program tonight. First slide, just jumping right into projected upcoming projects. First, El Granada Phase 2, currently in design. Half Moon Bay High School Central Kitchen, design. It's been designed. We are currently holding on this project, but it is a project nonetheless that's in the process of being justified. And so getting some more details together before we move any further with that. The Half Moon Bay High School sinkhole, this is a unfortunate situation at the high school where we're currently in progress. We have a complete design and we're out to bid to go to contractors to bid this project, competitive bid this project, and eventually do the work as soon as possible. And then the other upcoming projected costs are the district-wide capital outlay projects. Next slide, please. It's a little hard to read, but this is our Gantt chart for all the projects. I could go down the list, but I know I only have 7 minutes, but be more than happy to explain this to anyone. But we have 2 projects at Hatch that are wrapping up. The Farallon View project, which is currently underway, due to complete next August. And then El Granada, of course, Phase 1 is going through August of next year. And then Phase 2, El Granada is also shown in there. And then we have the high school, and then the kitchen, which is currently on hold, which also has a trainer's room element to it. Next slide, please. As far as the bond measures that are being employed are, we have Measure M and S. I think most board members and the public are well aware of the 2 bond measures that we're currently under. There's the values for both of them. Next slide, please. History of the authorizations. If you look basically from the authorization amount, we have the Measure K, Measure M, and Measure S, all adding up to the $215 million. And then the issued amount and remaining authorizations that are shown on the far right. Next slide, please. Bond expenditure. This is one slide that we're going to have to postpone this evening. I think we have a little more information, more accurate information that's better to share next month. So we're going to postpone this one, and after more of the audit information has been clarified. And then again, once again, if we go over to the next slide is go back. Comprehensive bond program. We have our Measure MS dollars, Fund 25, which we'll get to the description on that, and then we show the actual expenditures, and then on the far right are available unassigned dollars. We also show a Fund 40 amount, which we will get into the details on in the upcoming slides. Next slide, please. There's the Fund 40. That was a Cunha building settlement. There's some dollars there. The recommendation from the district and facilities is to try and preserve those dollars to make sure we make it through the Phase 1 and Phase 2 projects as long as possible. And the justification for that, as you can see there, is just a bond program projects to account for inflation, change orders, escalation, and other contingencies. It's a good safety factor to have built in at this point of the program. Next slide, please. And there's the Fund 25. Has to do with developers' dollars. Funds will be used to supplement the CUSD bond program and capital outlay as appropriate. Next slide. So here comes the exciting part. Finally, we're getting into the projects. Unfortunately, this specific project is hard to get excited about, but it's nonetheless a repair that needs to take place. The hillside remediation project, we're currently, as I mentioned, out to bid. We advertised on Tuesday. We have bid walk scheduled for August 20th, and then a bid opening on August 29th. And then followed by, we will plan to go to board on September 12th, and then our notice of award September 13th, and then we'll mobilize to do that project ASAP to try and beat the weather. And so just the next slide, please. Just a view of the conditions out there. Unfortunately, this was something that took place during the heavy rains and during the last 2 years, but last year was a really bad situation. There have been some temporary measures put in place, but this is a storm drain system that's definitely compromised and needs a lot of help quickly. So that's what this project will do. Next slide, please. So it's been a lot of activity. Fairlawn View Elementary School started last August. It's Building A modernization started last August, and they're wrapping it up now. They've just paved the parking lot on Tuesday. We have fire alarm testing completed. All furniture has been moved in, and contents have been moved in, and teachers are unpacking as we speak through the 14th, of course. And then we have Building B. Once A is once everything is 100% complete, which we do, it has reached that point where people are moving in. We will then move over to Building B and the MU and modernization of the MU. Both projects are seismic upgrades and complete modernization of finishes. And so we will next jump into Building B and the multi-use room. No coastal development permit was required on this project, which has allowed us to start last year. Next slide, please. Here are some photos of before and after. The left photo is Fairlawn View last year when they first started. And unfortunately, by the time we had to turn in this report, this presentation, the parking lot was not quite done, but it was ready to be paved. The photo on the right shows it ready for pavement, and improvements to the parking lot drop-off area, just more efficient drive aisles in and out, and then of course the whole entryway of the campus has been secured with a gate system, and just a lot of improvements to the entry to the campus. Next slide, please. A little more of before what was there at Fairlawn, and now the new drop-off areas, which just will allow a more efficient process and allow cars to drive in, drop off the children, and exit more efficiently. Next slide, please. Another before and after, as I mentioned, it's a seismic retrofit, much like all the projects modernizations we're doing, both at Fairlawn and El Granada. This was new utilities going in the central corridor early fall, and then the finished product is on the right with our new corridors and LED lighting and just much more energy efficient building as well. Next slide. A little bit on, again, what was a classroom underway, new utilities going in, and seismic renovation underway on the left, and then the new classrooms with smart teaching walls in the front of the classroom with whiteboard and displays being installed in the front of the classrooms, and bringing the classrooms into today's kind of newer technology and whatnot. Next slide, please. This is what's to come at Fairlawn. We have the shade structure. That's will be going in between A and B. What you see in the background is the multi-use room. There'll be a roll-up door that will allow the space to join together more easily. And this is a view of Fairlawn View's shade structure and what's to come. And they'll be underway with starting this work in September. Next slide, please. There's another view of the shade structure at Fairlawn. This will help deal with some of the more wet conditions, and kids will be able to be outside and yet still have some shelter. Next slide, please. So then the next project that began on Memorial Day weekend was El Granada. After almost a year of CDP process, we were granted approval of the CDP in the county courtroom in mid-May or mid-April, sorry, and then the contractor started construction on Memorial Day weekend as soon as they could, without impacting the academic mission. The architects on the projects are QKA. The total project budget is $22,803,000. That's a mixture of the design costs, our IORs, our special inspectors, and of course the general contractor and CMPs. Status, obviously DSA approved. Phase one is DSA approved. The work that's been happening this summer is what we've been calling the 0.5 complex. It's also known as kind of swing space. It's a place where all the teachers, since there were 10 portable buildings that were demolished, 3 of which were moved on campus. 7 buildings were actually demolished. We had to, in order to work on the new building area, but in order to start construction, we had to create some temporary space for teachers, which is this 0.5 complex, which are made up of 6 portables. So that's currently underway and will be ready for use first day of school. Our fire alarms have passed. We have occupancy for all 6 buildings, and the next part is they'll start foundation work for the new building, and then Yes, next slide, please. Then this is a bit view of the site plan. To the right, you can see there are what's the class 6. There's actually 6 classrooms on the far right. There's a new play area just to the left. The arrow to the left of that shows a new ship structure and a whale playground. And then the new building C, which is part of phase 1, and that'll have 7 classrooms. And then finally the parking lot. So the building 6 classrooms are the work that took place over the summer. A lot of work took place over a very short time frame. They were working weekends and often Sundays as well to make things happen. And then the building C is once the 6 classrooms are completed, the next part they'll start working on is the new classroom building, and that's shown there in the middle. And the parking lot is something that will start next summer. Part of that parking lot effort is to go through a CDP process for the lighting, and that CDP permit has not yet been submitted, so that will be the next step after we apply. Okay, next slide, please. Here's a picture of classroom that what we moved folks out of. This were portables where a lot of contents was where there was a little bit of purging, and so this is a look of what some of the classrooms we had to help move out of the space this summer. Next slide. The MU, this is where we staged everything once we moved it out, because once it was moved here, it would have to go into the portables. Next slide, please. Here's the site fencing that was installed and put in place around basically Memorial Day weekend, as soon as right the week before school started or ended. Here's the demo underway where the 7 buildings were demolished. Next slide, please. Here's our first foundation pour, or preparation for the foundations. Just foundations being poured and fences in place. Next slide, please. There's a first major concrete pour on site. Next slide, please. Here's the modular buildings that were moved from one part of the campus to another. That was July 5th, right after the 4th. And then here's the portables in place, all in place. Next slide. Here's the new utilities that were going in this summer to make sure all those portables had power. Next slide. There's the play structure, the new ship, and the whale. And so that is that. And there's another look at the campus. AD, K, and M. So the admin building, the library is the light blue building, the M is the multi-use to the right, and K is the kindergarten, kind of oddly shaped building to the left. Those are all of what's upcoming in phase 2. And there's the entire El Granada campus scope of work for El Granada is shown in that slide. That's what's to come. And that covers everything.
Thank you so much. I just want to really give a shout out to Roger and his team. So through construction, there's sometimes bumps and hiccups, and we had a lighting issue at Farallon View, and Roger and his team responded very promptly. We had some lighting that was very bright, and we responded to our public and to our community, and we have since shut off the lights. So I just want to thank his team, and I want to thank those community members who reached out to us to voice their concerns.
Thank you, Roger,
Thank
for
you.
being here, and thank you for waiting so patiently and giving us an update. Me personally, pictures speak for themselves, and I really appreciate all the pictures.
Good.
Less words, more pictures. Just kidding, just
I
kidding.
hear
I like the Gantt chart and the pictures also. Of course I do, because now you can see like a snapshot, like timelines. Everyone's always asking, when's this, when and it's easy just in one graphical. It's a picture too, but it has like different kinds of information. It's like, when's it start, when's it end, when's this thing happening? It's like, it's very
picture
helpful,
for
and I appreciate
Sophia.
the expertise of Vanner, I'm not sure,
Vanner.
Vanner, having being able to say this is like a standard way to show multiple projects on one side, because I'm not going to search through 800 pages of whatever to piece it together. Like my brain just will look at this and say, okay, what's coming up first, second, third, last, where is it, what's on hold, whatever. I have one question on that slide though, that at the top of the Gantt chart, it says Hatch Middle School
Yes.
CCCP portable building.
Yes,
It's
I need
typos,
to
right?
correct that.
Okay,
It's
Hatch Elementary
Yes.
/ preschool.
Yes.
Okay, and then my other question was, for Farallon View, the timing for Building B and MU modernization is listed as the end of this month, but I think it's maybe next year.
Correct.
Okay, so 2025. Okay. 8/31/2025. On slide 12?
Yes.
Okay, good, just checking. Because I was like, wait, you're gonna finish it in 2 weeks? Okay, so that,
So Roger, can you make those changes and submit it to Rosie so we can post it so that the public has the corrected information?
as part of keeping, I know there's probably gonna be like some effort to update the website too, but this is like such a nice one-stop shop, like even in the meantime till the facilities, construction website gets cleaned up a little bit, even just slapping this up there, like at the top, is like if somebody just goes to that tab around facilities or construction, they can see this is the first thing, like this is all anyone needs to see, compared to all the detailed other stuff about the ad nauseum drawings of every single thing we've ever done and whatever, like this is like the
Some
most
of those
up-to-date.
drawings are really important, though.
But generally for the public, most people are interested in this, and that could be kind of more of like an archive behind the scenes for people that have like very specific questions. So they're available, but 99% of the public, this is what they want to see. So I think it would be very helpful to slap that up there, maybe if you can, just because it's also something as a board member, as I got questions a lot about this, I could just point to it and just say, here's the link. And it's not just in a board presentation that, no, I even won't remember which meeting it was at. Then that would be great. Because this is great, and just the way, even just with each project, you have like a consistent way of describing everything, and it has like the key information, like the total project budget. Just throw all the numbers in there, not just one contract, because we need to know the totals.
And that schedule you referred to shows whether it's in design or construction. which is
Exactly.
nice.
It's super helpful, and you constantly keep that a regular cadence where you're coming back and sharing this with us, and maybe if it's too much to come to a board meeting, because it's not huge updates, and just keeping it updated on the website, honestly, I'm not gonna detail the specifics, but probably every month you're doing enough to warrant some updates, so with so much going on, it's great for people to be able to see that.
Oh, sorry, back to the lights at Farallon View.
Yes.
Again, I know Amber acknowledged, thank you for turning off the lights, and thank you in advance for working on what our solutions are.
Yeah.
I think you may have missed the public comments regarding light intensities and wildlife, and Dan Haggerty was here as well. And so certainly, you can check in with Rosie, but thank you in advance for coordinating that. A solution, and this is where, just, it's really important for our neighbors. And so,
Yeah, an effort's underway to figure out how to best resolve that. And
yeah, because
as we all know,
I
it's
see it on the horizon for
Yeah.
other sites, and so we want to keep it on the up and up.
I also want to thank you guys, and also Barbara Dye and our Coastside Lands Trust partners for bringing to our attention the issue with the native plant garden that's at El Granada, and how I think it was just a great example of partnership where they called us, we talked, you kind of figured out how to fix it, and you're fixing it. Like it's really a great collaboration, I think, and a good example of like a little spot thing that came up, and like it wasn't like a big panic, like, oh my God, posted all over next door. It's call someone they'll connect you with the right person and staff, and there's probably multiple ways of getting together.
Well,
So thank you for that.
Yeah, for what it's worth, our team reached out to the school, like, hey, that's there.
Yeah.
Kind of, you just,
Yeah.
check
It was
on
like
that
a little
to
bit,
see.
and like at the beginning of the year stuff too, so it's kind of, sometimes it does take a couple points of contact. And then again, over time too, like you were kind of learning this earlier too, like you establish the relationships that everyone knows. Okay, I'm comfortable calling so-and-so directly because I know them now and they're actually nice and they're not, they're gonna be responsive, so.
Again, that's why I have published my cell phone number, again, 650-445-8008. Like, we need to reach out to mitigate problems before they become problems. So when issues arise, reach out and let us work to solve them, because we will.
And I know it helps to have a little bit of lead time too, because you're a busy superintendent and sometimes you're in meetings, right? You might not get to people's calls like right away, might not be able to answer them. So I encourage people, leave you a voicemail, leave you a text. Text is the best, right? So text is the best. So, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I don't want to dismiss Amber, but also you can email me.
Oh, yeah.
You can call me, and I have the access to email the right department, the principal, the person that is overseeing. So I think it will be a little bit faster if you call me, text me.
Yes.
Thanks, Rosie.
What is your number, Rosie?
712.
As the general,
Yeah.
712-7100, but my direct phone number, 650-240-3146.
Well, just like in
Also can get text messages.
Yeah, just like in the school, it's helpful to call like the front office before you call a principal. Like if it's something simple and straightforward, administrative, then you can help, or they're not gonna be able to reach you because you're doing a million different things, and Rosie can help figure out the problem or track down Amber.
Okay. Thank you, Roger. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Item 4I, Resolution 2024 budgetary increases and transfer at year end.
Did we get to H?
That was the one that was the Studio W that we removed.
Oh, got it. Thank you.
So the budgetary increases and transfers at year end. I'm assuming this is
Jennifer, you want to speak to that?
So, yeah, this is just a standard resolution, and we're seeking approval.
Second.
Did you get that? That was Sophia and Lisette?
No,
Mary Beth.
Mary Beth. Thank you.
Any questions, comments? I recall doing this in the past in terms of balancing our budgets, and this is standard. Call it vote.
All right. So this is a resolution and it requires roll call. Kimberly?
Aye.
Carmen?
Aye.
Lisette?
Aye.
Mary Beth?
Aye.
Sophia?
Aye.
Jamie?
Aye.
It passes 5+1.
Thank you. That brings us to item 4J, Resolution 21, 2024, authorized representatives as signatories.
This is just a standard business operating procedure. As you have a new CBO and a new superintendent, we need to have an authorization, which is in the form of resolution, for us to be able to sign.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll motion.
Second?
A second.
Any questions, comments?
We'll do the roll call. Kimberly?
Aye.
Carmen?
Aye.
Lisette?
Aye.
Mary Beth?
Aye.
Sophia?
Can't turn this on. Aye.
Thank you, Sophia and Jamie.
Aye.
Passes 5+1.
Thank you. That brings us to item 4K, Associate Superintendent of Human Resources and Student Services Contract.
So this is just as we are looking to reorganize and restructure. As a new superintendent, I'm trying to bring everything in alignment and create common practices and procedures. So this is just changing the title of Bianca to the Associate Superintendent of Human Resources and Student Services, which is commensurate with her role with other districts. And so it's just aligning the appropriate title. And administration recommends approval.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Of course, I motion to approve this.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any questions? I will comment and say thank you for having seen how much work Bianca has been doing. And through the transition,
especially as the transition between superintendents and onboarding Superintendent Lealva. Because I was in working with County Council and Bianca, I really got to peek under the tent, not only on the hire process and everything that went into contracts, but I learned so much more about best practices, not only, yeah, anyways, just it's so much more than HR and Bianca's depth and breadth of knowledge in the district, and I just wanted to say thank you.
And it is a key role in the district office, and it's this position is a member of the executive cabinet, and so it just deserves the title change.
Yeah, I agree to have it kind of aligned to what the responsibilities that Bianca's taken on are, to bring that into alignment with what the standard practice with other districts is. I think is really important to recognize that work that's being done, because it is a lot. And as you were presenting, Bianca, earlier, I felt like I wish people could like job shadow you, and then I realized you're HR. 90% of what you do is probably confidential, so you can't do that. But just even having, invite the public or staff or whoever, like really is kind of curious, like what does HR do? It's like, well, you also oversee pupil services. In addition, though, we have obviously a very strong team leader there too. But there's a lot and a lot of diversity of what you're dealing with on a daily basis. Even summer school, like you're staffing summer school, you're working 220 days a year, I think. So it's a lot of different kinds of things. And as somebody just said, one of you guys, about like improving processes and procedures too, like that's a feedback we've gotten a lot, and I could not agree more to have a standard process and procedure. A lot of that is personnel related. So I think in terms of investing in the maximizing how we use our resources, the human resources is the most important resource that we have, right? So I think it's really important that we make that investment and have that strategic guidance to make sure we can get efficient, especially because again, 80 to 90% of our budget is spent on people. So we better be managing them efficiently and effectively.
Yes.
And working with Jennifer, for example, on things like position control, that's a big one. Working even the bottoms up budget, that's going to be a big one. So I think putting those initiatives in place is a very important investment to make. So thank you for being willing to do it, Bianca.
So our theme for the leadership retreat this year was elevate your leadership and for empowerment for change. So I'm asking all of my leaders to really elevate themselves. We need to take our district where it's at and take it to the next level. And so with this title change also comes more responsibilities, as you just spoke to, Sophia, to really elevate our human resources.
Compensation wise, it just fits into the salary schedule we'll be looking at later, right?
So
Like
there
it's
is,
oh no, it's a contract, so it's a little bit different.
there is a contract, there is a slight increase. It's
Yeah.
less than $2,000, but I just wanted to point out that with the restructuring and the reorganization and the elimination of a district office position, we are saving approximately $220,000.
Okay, net. Yeah, that's
Yes.
the net. Okay, awesome.
Thank you. Can we call the vote?
Also want to clarify that the salary schedule, that salary in the contract is aligned to the salary schedule. Current salary schedule without applying the 4% increase.
And if I may, I just wanted to explain to everybody here and so that everybody understands, I'll be taking on additional responsibility and elevating my leadership under the direction of Superintendent Lealva. And to that end, this morning at 7:30, I was on phone calls with Israel to deal with some sticky student services, special education thought partnership and figuring out some stuff. And then right after the all staff luncheon at the Rotary Club, took a call from council to support Israel and James and their work. So really there'll be also that student services piece around overseeing our alternatives to suspension piece and our MTSS cost SST stuff, working with James and Israel really closely. I know that we're all a team and they're phenomenal practitioners, but I did just want to make it clear that there's some expanded duties there as well.
I think with spending $6 million a year on special education services, I think having your tight management and tight control of the staffing around that, and where not only how the allocations are, but when we insource things, when we outsource things, I think that's going to be really important as far as like to me, my guess is a potential opportunity, just knowing not a lot about the details of the budget there, but knowing a lot about the complexity, and complexity is difficult to manage. So it seems like a good area to look at.
Absolutely. And this is a little bit sideways, but I just wanted to mention, because we didn't, because it was under consent. So under consent, item M, the management unrepresented salary schedule update. So Bianca's position is also on the salary schedule, as is the superintendent's. However, I just want to point out that I'm under contract, and so you approved.
We haven't approved that. We moved to.
Oh, never mind. Sorry. I'm gonna shut up right now.
Are we ready? All right, are we ready to vote? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
It passes 5+1. Can we do a curfew first?
Yes, I move that we extend our time till 10:30. Do I have a second?
We have 3 items left, are the 2 special ed contracts, the management and a represented salary schedule, and we can pass the governing matters, new business and operations if you don't have anything to discuss there.
We had one item to, I think, commission. Sure.
We can't extend it past. If anyone has anything to say, let's aim for 10:30, but we can only extend once, right? We can't
Agreed, let's
extend
just do it,
multiple
let's do it. We're gonna
10:30, I
keep it
move to
moving.
10:30.
Stretch goal, 10:30. I make a motion for 10:45 with a stretch goal of 10:30.
Okay, so 10:30 is
10:45.
fail.
Yeah.
So now, so
I'll second
for-
10:45.
Before we say no to 10:30, I need to know that we don't have a second for 10:30. Okay, so now I
Thank you.
take the Sophia 10:45.
That's why we let you do this, Rosie.
And I need a second for.
I'll second it, but if let's move on.
Yeah, let's just keep going.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
but
second
we
it.
have to do it right.
Yes. Thank you. Let's take up the
3A is the Ed Theory MOU contract services for 2024-25 school year.
So those 2 special education contracts that were in consent, I had asked that we pull them out
This one.
into general business. So we can, my main question was like, what's the difference and why do we have 2 contracts for special ed, stuff that sounded similar, like speech stuff?
So it's based on their IEPs,
Yeah.
and so they just had different requirements, different special services.
Okay, so the 2 contracts include different services.
I
Correct.
thought
Okay.
the speech, maybe I made an assumption, that's the online speech therapist?
Oh, yeah, I don't, if they're different services, I'm good.
Yeah, there's, yes.
Okay. Yeah, the two special education contracts. What's the difference?
Turn on your mic.
She's trying,
Okay.
yep.
Sorry, so actually, Israel brought this to my attention, and I brought it to the attention of the superintendent, I think it was last week, that we had these independent contractors coming in. So the SPG contract is to provide a education specialist and 3 speech language pathologists, 2 in person and 1 remote, is my understanding. And then there was also a contract with ProCare Therapy also to provide additional services because the district needed those services.
For the IEP.
Yeah, for IEPs, exactly. This is all to keep us compliant with IEPs. Israel and I have already had 2 conversations about next steps so that we can move forward with trying to bring in our own practitioners and over-reliance on contracting for the services. We've also brought it to Jennifer's attention. So, yeah.
But I do want to point out that there is a statewide shortage of SLPs. So it's not a unique problem to Cabrillo, But I think we present a especially unique problem because of our topography and our geography. And, it's hard to come over the hill.
Not even with food service. We
Correct.
put out a RFP for food service like Lunchmaster, crickets, like this, which makes the potential, implementation of an in-house food kitchen interesting. So it makes sense that maybe like in the short term, but maybe longer term, if it's feasible to bring it in-house and it's more
Absolutely.
cost effective, and it serves students better, kind of weighing those three factors.
So I will
Then
tell you,
we'll
several
look.
districts have moved towards incentives, stipends, hiring bonuses. That's something that would have to be negotiated. But that is something that is also in our brainstorming session to bring it in-house and not have to contract out. Because the reality is we pay more contracting it out. So we will be looking towards creative solutions for the future. But in the meantime, we have to be compliant with our IEPs.
And what's ed theory then? Is it different services or same stuff?
Again, I'm not familiar with the specifics of each of these contracts, but they are all different service providers providing a variety of services for students who have IEPs to make sure that kids get their minutes that are in their IEP plans.
I just want to also let the board know that we do not have all the information at this point. Our deputy superintendent, Leticia Batia?
Yeah.
Is out with a family emergency. So if the board is not comfortable, I'm okay pulling this and we can bring it back. But there's some things that came up very last minute and she's out. And so I would also encourage you to put her in your thoughts and prayers.
I think I'm okay. I'm looking around. I think we're okay with what these, now that we understand that they were two separate bodies of work.
One is services and one is people, because we don't have the people.
Got it. Can we vote on both of these together?
No, we
No.
need to vote separate.
Okay.
because they're
So
two separate
first I will need a
contracts.
motion for 3A, which is the ed theory contract.
So moved. Do we have a second?
Mary Beth, are we ready to
call the
vote
vote,
then? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Passes 5+1. Now I'm gonna need a motion and a second for 3F.
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Thank you, Sophia.
I'll second.
Thank you, Kimberly.
Not a good mic
microphone's
day.
working.
All right.
I'm just leaving mine on.
Yeah, go ahead.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Passes 5+1.
That brings us to the other consent item that we pulled out, which was 3M. Can someone talk to that?
Yes, so this is our management unrepresented salary schedule update. So when CSEA settled or came to an agreement, the history of the board has been what's good for one is good for all. So we are bringing forward to the board an increase based on the agreement that was reached with CSEA for all management unrepresented employees. I just want to point out, though, that even though the superintendent is on the salary schedule, the superintendent is under a contract and does not receive this increase.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve? I know we've got public comments, but do I have a motion to approve?
Before we move to the motion, there's also a slight revision that I need to make because the behavior intervention specialist and the behavior intervention coordinator salaries were switched. So
Okay.
we need to fix
They were
that.
inverted, okay?
So you have the copy with the corrected salary there.
Got it.
I'm also gonna add a line to the superintendent line that is contingent to the contract and evaluation, positive
great.
evaluation.
Yeah.
Yes, any increases to the
And the 4%
superintendent.
is not applied to this.
Yeah.
one.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
I have a motion to approve.
Thank you. I'll second.
I have a couple questions.
We have actually public comments
public comment,
first.
okay.
So Brianna?
Thank you so much for waiting patiently.
Waiting for, but I was not I'm Brianna Walfontaine. I wasn't going to comment. I emailed you all today with my thoughts. It was during the workday, so I'm not sure you all even saw it. First, I appreciate you all for pulling this from consent, because I think it's a very important item that should be discussed in public. I do want to point out that I think it's interesting that CSCA got a hot off the press email when that contract was signed, and then there was, I think it was yesterday, one about the teacher negotiation and that not coming to anything yet. But the management unrepresented, there wasn't anything about that. And I think that the management unrepresented, my take is that this should be on hold until CUTA has a contract. I'm really thankful to Amber, who responded and had an open dialogue with me about this, and I'm appreciative that the budget has 4% for everyone. I do think that without knowing what CUTA is going to end up with, that we should wait and see how much money is for this. I know that I would have a hard time being in management, and I know not everyone on here is in management, while my employees, half of our employees are fighting for a number, to get to a number. And if this isn't, I don't think our principal is not, I'm not saying our principal shouldn't get something, like, I freaking love our principals, or that the behavior specialists, whomever, shouldn't be getting raises. I think the timing is way off when we have so many people who are doing an amazing job fighting to get some type of increase. I heard that, like, you know, if you have questions about numbers or you don't understand, to ask. You all have made quite a few committees that has given us that knowledge. We are learning. We're getting to know this budget, and I think you should acknowledge that when people are giving you suggestions, not just me. Like, we're learning from you guys. We're taking these advisory committees and these meetings, you know, Jesus had up for last year. So I think there are ways that people are getting creative and giving suggestions, and I would really appreciate you all taking that feedback in instead of just asking us to go get more information. That was my unplanned comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Brianna.
Thank you so much. So,
I have one more
oh,
write-in.
yes, sorry.
So Haley Peterson wrote in, I am in total agreement that some administrative staff, especially our principals, deserve a raise. I'm wondering, though, if it makes sense to wait to approve and move forward on this until a contract with CUTA is agreed upon. I think it would speak volumes to put this on hold and show the staff and the district is prioritizing their needs. Go ahead, Superintendent.
Yes. I just wanted to point out that there are a few management positions, mostly classified, that per ed code, per board policy, require, is it a Me Too? Like a Me Too. So part of this is our due diligence to comply with board policy and ed code to give those management positions alignment with the raises. With CSCA. Thank you, CSCA.
Discussion?
Yeah, I guess that makes sense to me. That's a good additional factor. I think when both bargaining units have been offered a particular salary increase and one has accepted it, one has not, I really don't understand the rationale of withholding that from our management and our administrators who've been already, like, working this summer. They're hardworking too. Like, I guess I don't see why you'd hold them hostage to something that has nothing to do with them. And I think as far as not, like, headlining out and sending out, like, an alert, like, it's not really that much. There was no negotiation involved, so it was no activity that led to that. It was more just staff recommendation per our board policy. So it's more routine and operational than, yay, we came to agreement. Like, that's something to celebrate in a different way. So
Yes, thank you. So the
I have no
updates
problem.
were based on negotiations, and
Yes.
as you know, management is unrepresented, so there's
Yeah,
no
There's
negotiations.
no negotiations, exactly.
So I would say that it's not actually board policies, but contracts, like that we follow the same guidelines as CSCA employees.
Oh, for
We are
that,
not
that's not the
represented.
policy, but we do have the Me Too policy that
Yeah,
was,
per our contracts.
Yeah. yeah, for the contracts for the CSEA. That makes sense too. Yeah, but I think let's just keep moving forward as much as we can. Everybody's been offered the same thing. So, and if it changes for everybody. So I don't see why you'd hold back now. Like, I just don't understand that rationale. So to me, I'm comfortable moving forward.
Other comments, questions? I think the history we have had, even though sometimes it's not been obvious, whether it's CUTA or CSEA, who comes to agreement first, a lot of this runs in parallel, that we have been generally very consistent over the last 7.5 years that I've been on the board. And so I am comfortable with going on and acknowledging this, because I think in the feedback I've gotten from Jennifer, this is something at this point we can afford. And
Well, I
Yeah.
wouldn't say we can afford it. I'm saying that through Jennifer's diligent work, we are making it work. But
I
please,
understand.
we're-
there's
it comes
cuts.
with cuts.
It comes with cuts, and it comes with advanced planning, knowing that,
And I just want to thank you, President Hines, because yes, part of bringing this to you all for approval was looking at the past and knowing that this has been the board's past practice.
Yeah, and if the situation was flipped and where we had settled with CUTA, but still ongoing at CSCA, like I wouldn't want to hold management back for CSCA either. Like, it just
Yeah.
makes sense. Like, we move everybody forward as quickly as we can.
Correct.
and understanding that, it's not only teachers, but all of our employees that are,
Unrepresented.
well, right, but lower than much of the county.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
I had the chance to meet with Kevin Boltema Monday of this week, and I've got another meeting in 2 weeks. And we're actually looking at policy and practice of how funding is getting distributed and what we have in common with the other 10 underfunded districts. So we're just doubling down, trying to learn more, and hopefully, be able to tell the story in a comprehensive way that we can start to move the needle, to maybe have something more to work with. And again, that's really outside the scope of our governance, but if we don't try to do something different, we're going to continue to be right back in the same position every year. So I want to also thank Kevin Boltema for his thoughtful consideration and his support for our district. So.
And so my question, I don't even know, I guess I needed just a bit clarification. So if we hold off on this, it's just gonna depend on what happens, right? It's not like we're talking about a specific hold off period, correct? It just depends on negotiations and how we negotiate with CUTA.
No, so they're two separate issues. So
Okay.
we're still in negotiations with CUTA.
Yes.
And then we have a different category of management, which is unrepresented. So they're not
Correct.
represented by union.
Correct.
So I'm coming to the board to say, even though we're still negotiating with CUTA, let's give our management and our unrepresented the raise that we already gave CSEA.
But according to our public comment and the written comment, they're asking us to hold off on this vote.
Correct.
Until CUTA has settled.
Correct.
Even though they don't have representation
Correct.
and bargaining.
Correct.
And my other question now is, let's say that they settle and then CUTA ends up with a higher deal than what they're getting. Do they also, we go back, like, I'm making this up, people. But let's say it's it's an 8% increase and they settled at 4%, they would also get the additional 4%?
Always pending board approval. So
Okay.
CSEA has a Me Too, so they would automatically get the 8%.
Okay.
We are making this up. Nothing is on the table. I would, as your superintendent, bring back to the board, because what I've learned from past practice is the board wants to give what's good for one is good for all. So I would bring back to the board another item to increase the management and unrepresented salary schedule by the same percentage rate that we bargained with or settled with CUTA.
Okay.
Call the vote.
Thank you for your questions.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes 5+1.
And my computer, okay. This brings us to, we finished all of our agenda items, our governance matters. Board discussion on governing board operations. I think in terms of general operations, we're gonna have a lot to talk about on Sunday at our retreat. Are there any questions, comments about operations tonight? We have one other item then, board discussion on governing board new business. We talked about, and this is where last meeting, we were talking about.
Sophia said something earlier. What was it? I'm
Yeah, I
sorry.
think just kind of a follow-up to what we talked about last time, which was student outcomes. I think having more insight into A to G and what we're doing to improve that and what we can do to improve that would be interesting. Also, just the KPIs, the academic KPIs were presented around this time last year. So I think having those come back to us when staffing needs allow that would be really great, because that's kind of like our year-end report card.
Key performance indicators for people that are listening.
Yes, yeah, the academic key performance indicators, which included things like graduation rates and various things. And I can't remember, but if that didn't include some kind of a student enrollment update, and we need to have some idea what's happening with attendance and chronic absence.
Including attendance and?
Yes, and
Okay.
including attendance, which includes tardies and blah, 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 like all that stuff. That I think is important, again, to have like on a cadence of like, after the end of the year, once all the numbers are crunched in the fall, would be great to see, as well as probably Bianca's also already thinking additionally of, like, you presented a lot of really good staffing stuff last year too, like an updated org chart. I'd love to see that updated org chart updated. And anything else, like just look back at what you presented last year and see if there's anything that warrants updating or expanding.
What was the last, I'm sorry, Sophia?
The organizational chart, yeah, and other staffing presentations, updates from fall last year.
So just an update on the student outcomes. Leticia is coordinating that, and she already called at a meeting for that.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool, cool.
And I met with, as you know, I meet with board members one-on-one, and I met with Sophia and Mary Beth. They happened to have back-to-back times. And so I went through with both of them some of the previous board presentations. And so I'll be working with staff to prepare those presentations for you.
I'd like to add something also. I watched the video of the board meeting I missed, and I wanted to add that I want to hear a VAPA updates. So yes, please make a note, please.
Got it.
Thank you. Any other governance items right now?
I just wanted to let people know that in the last couple of weeks, we've had 30 more students enroll in the district. Yeah, and so our enrollment numbers are shifting literally daily. So Jackie and I had a meeting about it today. We'll be working on that first thing tomorrow morning, and we'll be in particular having some conversations with our elementary school leadership team around where, how best to accommodate all of our late enrollees. So it's, I know that we've had this situation with declining enrollment, but I also want to remind us all that we always do get a number of families who enroll late. And to your point earlier about Power School and stuff, the extent to which we can figure out how to support folks to enroll earlier would be really helpful. And also just for families to know that they know where they're going to go and how this works. And so I just wanted to let you all know, though, that's a pretty significant increase in students. That's a full classroom.
Okay, thank you.
Future events, so on Sunday, we'll be meeting for our board retreat, 9 a.m. at Seal Cove Inn.
Yes, so.
8:30?
Yes, so that's hot off the presses, yes. So we found a place. We're going to meet at Seal Cove Inn.
8:30 for gathering,
Yes, 8:30. We will be having two closed session items. So Rosie will publish the agenda. Given that it's a special board meeting, we only have to publish 24 hours in advance, so we'll get it as soon as we can. But notice that it'll be 24 hours in advance. So we have two closed session items. We'll meet at 8:30. And we did find a place off-site that we are paying for it with our donations that we got. So I just want to point that out. So we will be meeting at Seal Cove Inn, 8:30. Taking you all off-site. Research shows that with a retreat, you want to get off-site, change your frame of mind, and so that we can do some heavy work.
Thank you. Thursday, August 15th, first day of school. And we'll warmly welcome all of our teachers, staff, students, and families to the start of an exciting new school year. Thursday, August 29, Fairline View Back to School Night, and Thursday, September 12th, regular board meeting here at Cunha Intermediate School Multipurpose Room, 6:30 p.m.
So I don't know what the past practice is, but all of cabinet will be out on the first day of school. We've already assigned ourselves to different school sites, so we will be out and we'll be helping principals greet families and helping them find their classroom and just making a presence. So we'll be out and present. Same thing with back to school night.
Thank you.
Although we don't know that yet.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Me too now.
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second motion.
All in favor?
Please say aye.
Aye.
5 plus
Thank you,
1.
everybody.
Thank you.